We are live. Kwame
Hey, can you start off with that intro video I sent you?
Come.
Thanksgiving, America. I'm Donna. Happy Thanksgiving, America. I'm Donna, and I'm here with my friends to tell you the real history behind this holiday. Growing up, I knew that what they told you in school about Thanksgiving wasn't true. That's not the true story. The true story behind Thanksgiving was after every killing of a whole village, these European settlers celebrated it, and they called it Thanksgiving. But it wasn't until Abraham Lincoln became president that it became an official holiday.
He ordered 38 Dakota men to be hung for war crimes.
After the sacred holiday Christmas,
we take this time to remember our elders who lost their lives due to what really happened. Usually my mom makes a Native American dish for us and we pray.
Growing up, I would be kind of annoyed that they didn't know what actually happened on Thanksgiving and that they're actually celebrating the deaths of many people and many tribes that were lost.
Whether it's to give thanks or to be with your family, you should learn how the holiday was established in the first place.
I'm thankful for being born indigenous to this continent.
I'm thankful that I still have my culture.
I'm thankful that my elders kept our culture alive all these years.
I'm thankful to be indigenous, resilient, and alive.
I'm thankful for us all to be able to stand together, stand strong, and stand as one.
Happy Thanksgiving, America.
Hey, all praises, all praises, all praises, man. Hey, and if you didn't know, hey, we thankful that the Most High allowed us to see another day. And we thankful that the Most High gave us another day to be his servants, man, to keep his commandments, right? Gave us another day to repent, right? So, hey, shalom, shalom, family, to all the brothers and sisters that's tuning in. Welcome to another Yahawah's Camp Wars on Wednesday. Right, first off, we want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahawah by Hashem Yahweh Shah. And we're going to go around the panel. Right, I'm Brother Yashawan by Yahawah.
Hey, Shalom Israel is your brother Mahar.
Yo, Shalom, it's Captain Ma'am. Shalom, Yasharala.
Hey, Shalom, Israel. It's your brother Kazak.
Hey, Shalom, Israel. It's your brother Shalak.
We also got the brother Amak, the mighty brother Amak on here tonight, right? So like I said, hey, shalom to everybody that's tuning in to Yahawah's Camp Wars on Wednesday, right? So from the title, everybody pretty much know what we're going into tonight, right? We're gonna go into some history, right? We're gonna go into, the so-called Thanksgiving, right? So everybody know, man, like I brought out, for the Halloween joint a few weeks ago, man, we in that time of year where we back to back with these so-called holidays, man, right? Like I said, back in the world, hey, this time of year was, some of our, favorite time of the year back in the day, right? With the Halloween, right? You got Thanksgiving, right? So-called Christmas and New Year's, right? But since we came into the truth, man, the servants of the Lord, hey, this the worst time of year for us, man. Our spirits be vexed during this time, right? 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 Because a lot of our people, man, they so destroyed being in this captivity, man. We've been brainwashed into, celebrating the days where our people was being raped, robbed, and murdered. Right? Our people, celebrate the same days where we was being destroyed. Right? Our people glorify the days where, hey, we was being murdered, taken into captivity. Right? Hey, Kazak, can you give me the book of John chapter 8, verse 32? And Ephraim, can you give me The Apocrypha, can you go to the editions of Esther 14 to 15? Right. So we gonna get into it tonight, man, because a lot of our people still sleep. You know, being in this truth, man, we still got, you know, family members, you know, it seems like, you know, we might have family members that just don't get it, man, right? You tell them you don't celebrate Thanksgiving, and every year they do the same thing, man. Are you coming over? You coming over this year for Thanksgiving, right? Or the next year after that, or you go come this time, right? You still got people in your family telling you happy Thanksgiving, right? You might have a brother, a sister, you know, an aunt, right? Your grandma hitting you up, asking you if you coming over, right? Right? So our people got to wake up in these last days, right? A lot of our people don't even know the origins, you know, of where these so-called holidays, how they originated, right? But we just so brainwashed being in this captivity, we willingly follow after the ways of the other nations, right? But we got to think about it. Hey, before we came off those slave ships, we wasn't celebrating Thanksgiving, right? Before the indigenous people of this land was conquered by the Spaniards, they wasn't celebrating, you know, Thanksgiving and Christmas, right? These is customs that we took on after being conquered by our enemies, right? Hey, Shalom, King Zeph, Yahawah Bashem Yahushua Brakatah.
Yeah, Shalom, Yahawah Shabbat.
Shalom, King. Shalom. Yabashim.
All right, let me get there real quick, cause
Con. This
hold
is the
on, let me
book
get there
of
real quick.
Con.
All right, you could bring it out, King.
This is the book of John, chapter 8, verse 32. It says, "And ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free."
Right, and that's one of our favorite precepts, right? I know the priest, he bring that out all the time, right? So the Lord said, we shall know the truth, and the truth is what's gonna make us free as a people, right? And we all know the truth is going back to the law, right? In Psalm 119, right? So if our people knew the truth, if our people knew their history, if our people knew the law, they wouldn't be celebrating these customs of the other nations, right? Our people wouldn't be celebrating a day where we was being destroyed, a day where our land was being stolen from us, right? Right? You see, when you come back to the truth and you start keeping these commandments, right? The Most High gave us days where we actually, you know, could celebrate. We had days where we were celebrating the destruction of our enemies, right? Going back to Passover, right? The destruction of the Egyptians, right? We got Feast of Dedication coming up, right? Going into the destruction of the Greeks, right? You got the destruction of Nicanor, right? See, that's something to celebrate, right? Right? The days that the Most High delivered us from the hand of our enemies. That's a day where you can actually celebrate. But now people so brainwashed and we so backwards now where we actually celebrate the days where we was being murdered, right? We actually celebrate days where our enemies was victorious over our people, right? Just think about that, right? See, when you come back to these laws and commandments, when you come back to these scriptures, when you come back to your heritage, right? The Most High gave us days where we could celebrate when we was actually victorious over our oppressors, right? But now we celebrate the days where our oppressors was victorious over our people, right? You see that? So read that again from the top, King.
Con. This is the book of John, chapter 8, verse 32. It says, "And ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free."
Right? And ye shall know the truth, and the truth gonna make you free. So our people never gonna be set free and they continue to celebrate holidays where we was being taken into captivity. It'll never work, right? How are we gonna be free when we celebrate and we glorify the days where we was being raped, robbed, and murdered by our oppressors, right? We got to make that make sense, right? A lot of our people don't even realize that we still in captivity, right? But our people love to celebrate Thanksgiving, right? Celebrate the 4th of July, right? So-called Independence Day, but we not even independent in this nation, right? Right? During the first 4th of July, our people were still in captivity. We were still in the slave fields, right? But like I said, the mind of our people so destroyed in today's world that we still celebrate these customs, even though it goes into the destruction of our own people, right? Even believe it or not, even for so-called Thanksgiving, you still got so-called Native Americans that celebrate this day. Believe it or not, right? That's why the Lord said, "My people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge." How destroyed do you have to be in your mind, right, to be a so-called Native American and celebrate so-called Thanksgiving?
Make that make sense.
I mean, it don't make sense, right? But hey, that's why the Lord said, man, Jeremiah 4:22, he said, "My people is foolish," right? They have none understanding, right? So the Most High God put the Spirit in His servants to teach our people, to give you that understanding, right?
Hey,
So let me. Oh, you got some, Cap?
yeah. I want to get a quick precept on what you was going into.
Come.
Hey, yeah, can you give me Isaiah 1 and 3?
Come.
Right, and as you getting that out, this is kind of like what we go into year in and year out, and of course, over these last some odd years, if you're in this truth, you get the same, and you get the same energy from family. You know what I'm saying? As far as going into these holidays or these non-holy days, these pagan holidays that we got to combat. And one of the things that becomes, I guess you could say, redundant is the same questions. Are you coming out? Are you coming over? Are you coming over? And like what the brother Yahawah was going into was important. And it was actually interesting how you got Native Americans celebrating some of these feast days that commemorate their well, really our destruction, right? Our whole nation as so-called Gadites or so-called Native Americans are the actual real Gadites that the Bible speaks of. It's interesting how we are so quick to adopt the customs of the other nations. And the Most High always said this was going to happen. If you want to do as the Babylonians, well, you're going to go into Babylonian captivity. You want to be the Assyrians, you're going to go into Assyrian captivity. So you got that. We're gonna go down to verse 5. So start at 3 and then read on 5.
Come. It's the book of Isaiah, chapter 1, verse 3. It says, "The ox knoweth his owner, and the ass his master's crib.
Mm-hmm.
But Israel doth not know.
Mm-hmm.
My people doth not consider."
And let's just stop right there. Our people don't know and don't care to know, right? It said, my people don't know nor consider. And you got the ox and the ass, right? Two stubborn animals and two dumb animals. That's hard to train. Even those two animals know where they belong to, where to go home, where their bread is buttered, where to eat their food, right? So read on verse 4, King.
Come, verse 4.
Mm-hmm.
It says, "Ah, sinful nation."
Now let's stop right there. The Most High called Israel a sinful nation. We're so quick to do these things that's contrary to the Bible. Understand this, right? Our people are so quick to celebrate these feast days, these high holy days, that don't go to our people. It don't have nothing to do with the so-called Black, Latino, and Native American. As a matter of fact, it's contrary to us, right? Our people celebrate feast days that commemorates or that actually belongs to the destruction of our ancestors. And it's only because of sin that we were even in this position, right? So start it again, verse 4.
Con. This is Isaiah chapter 1, verse 4.
Mm-hmm.
It says, "Ah, sinful nation,
Mm-hmm.
a people laden with iniquity, a seed of evildoers, children that are corrupters. They have forsaken the Lord. They have provoked the Holy One of Israel unto anger."
So let's stop right there. One of the things that you can upset God the most when it comes to sin is worshiping these other gods, worshiping these other idols, giving the credit to the other deities. That's why when we went into the wilderness, Moses was up on that on Mount Sinai, and what happened? Our people put a golden calf out, worship that golden calf, right? And then at the end of the day, the Most High was upset and was going to wipe the whole nation out. He said, "You provoked the Holy One of Israel unto anger." Wow. Well, we were celebrating other gods and committing all this fornication. The same thing we're doing now. And about a month from today, our people are going to be celebrating Christmas. All right. And then a month after that, New Year's. And then after that, you got Valentine's and St. Pat. It's a whole cycle. So that's how we provoke the Most High to anger. And just watching that video we was going into earlier before we started this lesson, it was funny interesting how the Native American point of view is, hey, we came back to our culture, but even the Native American culture that we see today ain't going back to the ancient Gadites. It's a little bit of traces in there, but it's not fully, right? So even the culture of the Gadite today isn't the culture of the original Gadite. It says they provoked the Holy One to Israel unto anger. They are gone away backward. Let's get verse 5.
Con. Verse 5. It says, "Why should ye be stricken anymore?"
Most High asking the question, why are you hitting your head against the stone wall? Right? Why are you doing these things that has never been proven to be beneficial to our people? Why should you be stricken anymore? Come on.
"Ye will revolt more and more.
Mm-hmm.
The whole head is sick."
It said the whole head is sick. Right? Our own people, whether you want to look at this spiritual or physical, it's still bad, right? Our people the whole head is sick. The whole mentality, our thought process is sick. Come on.
"And the whole heart faint."
And the whole heart is faint, meaning our reasoning on why we do things. You ever ask a Christian why you celebrate Christmas but not Halloween? It don't make sense. If they're both pagan, why are you putting one holiday over the other? Why is Thanksgiving over Halloween? Christians don't celebrate Halloween because it's pagan and it's worshiping the devil. They got all these excuses, but then they'll turn around and commemorate another holiday that's still pagan. All right, that's it right there. That's all I'm gonna leave it right there. I just wanted to bring that out because that was going into what you was going into about our people doing some of the most idiotic things to just fit in. You want to fit in so much so that you will fit on the ancestors, on the remembrance of your ancestors, especially if you're Native American. But like the Bible said, Israel don't know who we are, right? That's it on that. I'm gonna yield.
Praise, man. A mighty points from the captain, man. Right, and that go right along with what we was going into, right? So, hey, Ephraim, you got that in Esther, the editions of Esther.
Con. Wait, 14 verse.
14 and 15.
The book of editions of Esther, chapter 14 and verse 15. Thou knowest all things, O Lord. Thou knowest that I hate the glory of the unrighteous.
Right, so let's stop right there. So Esther said, I hate the glory of the unrighteous, right? So what is the glory of the unrighteous, right? Celebrating Thanksgiving, right? Celebrating Christmas, right? Like the cat was going into celebrating Valentine's Day and New Year's and St. Patrick's Day, right? Going into the worshiping of all the gods of the other nations, right? That's the glory of the unrighteous, right? That's all this nation promotes is the glory of the unrighteous, right? Who was the unrighteous, right? The so-called Europeans that came and raped, robbed, and murdered and stole this land from us, right? Along with all the rest of the nations, right? That worship idols, right? So the unrighteous is glorified in this nation, right? And that just goes to show you how much these other nations and America actually feel it, that goes to show you how much they love our people, right? Right? Because for some reason our people still think that, America has loved them, right? Everybody's equal in America, right? Everybody got the same fair chance. But America still celebrate Columbus Day, right? Ain't Columbus a well-known murderer,
Mm-hmm.
right? I mean, it ain't like it's a damn secret that he a murderer, right? It's not a secret that our people was being murdered on so-called Thanksgiving. But guess what? These are days that's still glorified in this nation. These are days that's celebrated in this nation, right? That goes to show you how much America actually cares about our people, right? Where they still celebrate the holidays where our people was being murdered, right? They still glorify men that's well-known murderers and that's well-known slave masters of our people,
Mm-hmm.
right? That's all you see in America is the glory of the unrighteous, right? That's why in America you got all these different statues of all these different these damn Edomites, right? Right here in Raleigh, they got a statue of Sir Walter Raleigh, right? When you go to DC, they got all these different statues, right? Andrew Jackson, right? You got Christopher Columbus. You got all these Greco-Roman statues, right? So what is that? That's the glory of the unrighteous.
Mm-hmm.
All these statues is just idols. That's all they are, graven images of men that was well-known slave owners, that was well-known murderers, right? But our people, like the cat brought out, man, our people don't know who they are, right? Our people don't know our true heritage. Our people are ignorant, right? Our people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge. And that should anger you, right? If our people had any type of wisdom or understanding, even seeing all these different statues of these different Edomites that was known for murdering our people, that should anger you, right? You should get angry if you see a statue of Sir Walter Raleigh, right? If you were so-called Black, Hispanic, or Native American, that should anger you, right? Seeing a statue of Christopher Columbus, right? It should anger you that America even still celebrates Thanksgiving, right? Right? But hey, that's our people, man. Our people don't go into no history, right? That's why the Lord said, "Remember the days of old." Right? Our
Hey,
people supposed to
Salaki,
be
real quick.
searching out. So
Oh no,
like,
no,
let
go
me
ahead, go
finish
ahead.
real quick.
Yeah.
But no, but that's what I'm saying. Our people need to go into their own history, because if they knew their history, then they wouldn't be celebrating these holidays, right? But go ahead, Ephraim.
Hey, Salakia. So I wonder how they would feel if,
Hmm.
I think because the time has been such a long time, so to speak, right? But what if the time was more closer? Like, what if it was your mother? What if it was your grandmother that all these atrocities were done to? Right? They don't think about that stuff. They just think um, they can't think past what they can see. You know?
Right, right, and that's crazy. Like the brother said, that's a good point, right? What if America started celebrating the day where where Emmett Till was murdered, right? The day that Trayvon Martin was murdered, and that became a national holiday in America. Our people so ignorant they'll probably start celebrating that day, right? And just say, "Oh, well, I'm just celebrating it because it's a time where I could join with my family, right? It's another day for me to get a day off work, and I could get drunk and get high and have a barbecue, right? Hey, that's all Negroes. Hey, that's all Negroes want to do, man. You give them a day off of work, right? You give them another day when they can have a barbecue and a cookout, another day where they could get drunk and smoke weed. Hey, that's all our people want, right? That's all our people be happy with, right? But hey, all right.
Hey, Salakia, and look, I just looked up something real quick. You know what I'm saying? If you understand what we're saying, no politically correct way to celebrate genocide is pushed, right? Not in mainstream, right? This is information about, it's called Birthday of the Fuhrer. Now, this celebration celebrated Adolf Hitler's birthday. And guess how long they had this last? From 1933 to 1944. This was a holiday in Germany. It only lasted for more than a decade. And it was right during that time that Germany was in power. So I wonder why after 1944 that this birthday was no longer a national holiday. Oh, it's because it wasn't correct, or it was politically incorrect to celebrate the birthday of Hitler as a national holiday. So even guys like Hitler, when you see, the people don't understand this, when you kill white people, right, the wish community, they'll find all ways to stomp out any commemoration of that time period. But when it comes to things like, hold on one second. When it comes to things like so-called Black, brown, and Native American people being killed, right? The genocide that we're talking about, we're talking about 6 million that Hitler killed versus hundreds of millions that Columbus, hundreds of millions of Cortez, hundreds of millions of people that was at the hands of some of these European empires that lit out there and killed people that look like us. And these people that spearheaded these movements, Christopher Columbus, Hernan Cortez, the list goes on and on, their days are still commemorated, right? Because, and the reason why is because they didn't kill white people, right? They killed Israelites. So these guys are propped up as heroes in the world, right? All throughout the world, but no one's asking for these things to be finalized, right? To be cut off. No one's asking to cut off or to expire Columbus Day. No one's asking to get rid of Thanksgiving. But as soon as you start killing white people, right, genocide of white people, then, you know, like Hitler, his holiday only lasted 11 years, and it was right during the they were and Germany was in power. So I'm gonna just end it on there. But like I said, and I mean, I'm sure there's other examples. I just wanted to bring that out, right? They got other holidays in Germany, Ascension Day. They got Corpus Christi. I mean, some of these things, Memorial Day of the Martyrs of the Nazi Movement. This is another holiday of Germany. Memorial Day of the Martyrs of the Nazi Movement. And it only lasted for a few years because it's not politically correct to commemorate quote unquote bad people. And what makes someone bad, right? You got guys, I mean, some of these dictators, they went around and committed genocide. America commits genocide, right? Early, George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, these guys that are the founding fathers of America that people look up to, they all committed genocide, heinous acts. But the people that they killed didn't matter to the people, to mainstream media. So these days get to stay going. But when it comes to, again, guys that slaughtered so-called white people, then these holy days or these holidays only last for so long. And then it's, oh, we got to get rid of it because it's not sensitive to that community. And this when it goes back to so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans not having proper representation when it comes to these United Nations meetings, when it comes to some of these gatherings of the UN. Where is the seat of our people that can represent Black, Latinos, and Native Americans? We don't have it. We don't have any representation, right? That's why we need Yahawah. He's going to represent us on that day of judgment, right? He's going to sit in the seat as the ambassador for our nation, and he's going to speak for our nation, right? And he's going to be the one that's going to pass judgment for what they've done to us and how they drank the wine off of our downfall and our oppression. That's it on that.
Hey, Salakia, can I make a quick point? So think about like 9/11, right? And how they say like never forget. But could you imagine if they made like statues of those pilots that they said flew those planes into those buildings? Like they wouldn't have that, right? But we have to look at statues of, like Yahshua was saying, like Columbus and Lincoln and all these people. But 9/11, you don't see any statues of these pilots, right? So it's just the hypocrisy of the Edomite, man. That's all I had.
And that's some powerful points the brother's bringing out, man. Right, and I got a precept to go with that too. This the book of Zechariah, chapter 11, verse 5. It says, "Whose possessors slay them?" Right. So who possessed the so-called Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans in today's world? Right, the so-called white man, like the captain was bringing out. So our possessors slay us, right? And it says, "and hold themselves not guilty," right? So they don't hold themselves guilty, right? Like the cat was bringing out, they had days where they were celebrating Hitler's birthday, but they shut that down real quick, right? But what about shutting down the days where our people was being murdered, right? See, our possessors, they hold themselves not guilty. If they hold themselves guilty, they wouldn't be celebrating Columbus Day, right? They wouldn't be celebrating Thanksgiving, right? It says, "and they that sell them say, blessed be the Lord." Hey, what the so-called white man gonna be doing tomorrow night, right? While he cutting that turkey, right? He gonna be commemorating the times of old where his forefathers stole this land and murdered millions of so-called Native Americans, right? They're gonna be drinking it up, right? They're gonna be saying, blessed be the Lord, right? Right? They're gonna be celebrating their victory over our people, right? It says, "and they that sell them say, blessed be the Lord, for I am rich." You see that? And how did this so-called white man become rich? By stealing our land, by stealing our gold, right? By stealing our resources, right? It says, "and their own shepherds pity them not," right? So we don't get no pity, right? They can give less than a damn about our people. They still shoot our people down in the streets today, right? They still putting drugs in our neighborhoods and our communities and today, right? You see that? Right. So Ephraim, you could read that again in Esther 14:15.
It says, "Thou knowest all things, O Lord. Thou knowest that I hate the glory of the unrighteous, and
Right.
abhor the bed of the uncircumcised, and
Mm-hmm.
all heathen."
And all the heathen, right? You see the mind state that Esther had, right? She said, "I hate the glory of the unrighteous," right? Right? And the bed of the uncircumcised and of all the heathen, right? So we hate these heathens, right? We hate that we live in a country where they celebrate the days where the heathens and the other nations were victorious over our people, right? We hate that we gotta drive down the street and see statues of these other nations of men that was well-known murderers that murdered millions of our people, right? And but what happened if we put it in our own hands and try to destroy the statues of these people? And they gonna take us to jail, right? You gonna be sitting in a damn jail cell, right? But America, they're not gonna tear down all these different statues of these men that was known for murdering our people, for enslaving our people, right? But Ephraim, you could jump down to can you go to chapter 16 in that same book, and can you give me verse 7? And hey Kazak, can you give me the book of Psalm chapter 58 and verse 2?
Let me know when you're ready, King.
Come on, I'm ready.
All right. Verse 7. Now ye may see this, as we have declared, not so much by ancient histories as ye may, if ye search what hath been wickedly done of late.
Hold
through
on,
the pest
what have been what? Read that part
wickedly
again.
done of late.
That have been wickedly done of late. Read on.
Through the pestilent behavior of them that are unworthily placed in authority. That's a cold precept.
You see that? You see that? How is that not talking about today's world, right? What our people go through today. It says wickedly done, right? All the acts that these people did to our people, that's wickedly done, right? Deceiving our people, murdering our people, right? Raping our women, taking our children into captivity, right? Stealing our land, right? It says wickedly done of late through the pestilent behavior of them that are unworthily placed in authority, right? Tell me that's not talking about Esau, right? This man is unworthily placed in authority, right? How did he get this land, right? By raping and robbing our people, right? By deceiving our people, right? Acting like he was in peace with the so-called Native Americans and then stabbing those people in the back, right? So that's the so-called white man for you, right? This man is a coward, right? He know he can't go face to face with our people, right? So what he got to do? He got to deceive you, right? He got to ambush you, right? You see that? That's how these people get done, right? And they know they can't go to war with Israel, right? They know they can't stand toe to toe with our people, right? So they got to do all these certain tricks, right? Right? And deceive our people, right? And then we see what happened. They stabbed us in the back. They gave our people diseases, right? They ambushed us, right? So these people are unworthily placed in authority, right? So, cause you had that in Psalm 58, verse 2.
God, King.
All right. So before you get that, we gonna go into a little bit of history, right? And I'm gonna go into this book, and this is a classic, right? But I'm gonna jump around. I'm not gonna read, the whole chapter, but I'm gonna just jump around a little bit, right? So I'm gonna go into this book. Hey, everybody should know about this book by now, right? This is Yahawah's Camp Classic right here, right? So you already know where I'm going, man, right? Hopefully everybody can see that in the camera, right? This is one of my favorite books by the elder, right? From Elder Zaquan from Yahawah's Camp, right? Right, Holiday Hustle, right? Everybody should know about this book by now. If you watching this, I highly suggest you check out this book. It go into a lot of history about the origins of these so-called holidays, right? right? You see the author of the book, right? Look this book up. And if you can find it online, I highly suggest that you get this book, right?
I'll
But
stick the
we
link in
finna
the chat.
all praises. But I'm gonna go into the chapter we're going to about Thanksgiving. And like I said, I'm gonna jump around a little bit. I ain't gonna read the whole thing, right? I just want to go into some of this history. Right? So it says Thanksgiving, and I'm gonna read a little bit of this paragraph right here, right? It says the story Thanksgiving that we're taught through the account and eyes of society, pastors, parents, and school is a very heartwarming account of history, whereas English and Dutch pilgrim settlers journeyed to the Americas. Once they embarked upon this strange land, now titled America, they came peacefully, made friends with the natives of the land, and planted a bountiful, loving 3-day feast and harvest during 1621, celebrating the first harvest since the Puritan separatists docked in Plymouth, Massachusetts. Right? So you see how Esau get down, right? And this the same story that we all grew up in school with, right? And it's the same thing they taught me in school, right? They probably teaching your kids this in school right now, right? They're not gonna teach you the truth about what actually happened on this day, right? I remember when I was in school, they told me the same thing, right, about Thanksgiving, right? It was a day where the so-called Native Americans and the so-called Pilgrims, right, they came together and they had a peaceful feast day, right? But hey, tonight we finna go into the truth about this, right? Because to be honest with you, if we don't teach our children the truth about these so-called holidays, hey, who else gonna do it? Hey, they teachers not gonna do it at school, right? So that's why we have to go into this history and we have to teach our children, right? So our children don't grow up and be deceived the same way that we was deceived, right? So I'm gonna jump down a little bit. It says the true documented history. So the true documented history, right? Not the lies that they teach you in school. It says the true documented history has shown the real account of Thanksgiving is a story of the murder of indigenous people and the theft of their land. Right? You see that? So the murder of indigenous people and the theft of their land. Right? So let me get that real quick. I'm gonna jump to that in Psalm, right? Right. So that's how Esau get down, right? He cover up the real history, but he teach your kids lies in school, right? About things that never happened, right? So let me get there real quick in Psalm. So let's see what the Lord said about our enemies, right? Let's see what the Lord said about the true nature of Esau, right? So if you got that, you could bring it out, cause
Con. It's the book of Psalm, chapter 58, verse 2.
Hey Salaki, hey Shalak, you there?
Yeah, Khan.
Hey, can you give me the book of Sirach, chapter 12 and verse 10?
Khan.
The water. Or you could bring that out, cause
Con, this is the book of Psalm, chapter 58, verse 2. It says, Yea, in heart ye work wickedness.
so let's stop right there. So we all know your heart is talking about your mind, right? So when Esau mind, all he do is work wickedness, right? All he do is think about ways where he can overcome our people, how he can destroy our people, how he can continue to rape, rob, and murder our people, right? Read on.
Ye weigh the violence of your hands in the earth.
Mm-hmm.
The wicked are estranged from the womb.
right? So you see that? It said the wicked. We all know who the wicked is, right? Job 9:24. The Lord said the earth was given into the hand of the wicked, right? Who is the people that run this world right now, right? We all know the answer to that. And if you don't know, maybe you living up under a damn rock, right? So the Lord said the wicked are estranged from the womb, right? So you got a lot of our people that say, well, it's some good, it's some good so-called white people, right? But I thought the scripture said, I thought Christ said there is none good but one, and that's the Most High God, right? Because our people love to say, well, all of them not bad, it's some good ones. And the Lord said these people are estranged from the womb, right? Before they even born, these people are wicked, right? Read on.
Con, it says, the wicked are estranged from the womb. They go astray as soon as they be born, speaking lies.
And you see that? You got to think about that. As soon as you be born speaking lies, that's crazy, right? That goes to show you, man, these people couldn't tell the damn truth if their life depended on it, right? Everything that you see is a lie, right? Talking about Columbus discovered America when there was already people here in America when he came to this land. Telling you that Thanksgiving was a peaceful feast day between the natives and the pilgrims. When the true history show you that our people was being murdered, right? So the Lord said, as soon as the wicked is born, they speaking lies already, right? It's in their spirit to speak lies, right? It's in their spirit to be deceivers, right? So you got to question everything that come out this man's mouth, right? You can't believe nothing that come out this man's mouth, right? The Lord said as soon as they be born, they speaking lies, man, right? It don't get it don't get no more wicked than that, man. A newborn baby, man, speaking lies, right? That's crazy, man, right? So let me finish this off real quick, and then we go get to that in Sirach.
Hey, Salakia, the brother Amak wanted to throw in there Psalms 83 and 2 through 5.
Kanye, we'll get to that.
Come.
Let me get this real quick in Sirach. All right, let me finish this off, right? It says, by the time the Mayflower landed in midwinter on the North American coast, the original native people of this stretch of this shoreline had already been killed off in 1614 when a British expedition landed here. It says when they had sailed back home to England. So this is a powerful point right here. It says when they had sailed back home to England, they took more than 100 Indians as slaves, leaving them with smallpox as well, right? So that's a point that go into some of our people that's even in this truth that say, well, the native Indians they're not Israelites, right? They don't fit Deuteronomy 28 and 68. Oh, really? Right? We going into a historic account, right? It says when they had sailed back home to England, they took more than 100 Indians as slaves, leaving them with smallpox, right? So is that not going into slavery on ships? And that's just one account, right? Hey, that's just one account. That's not even talking about, the rest of the natives that was taken on slave ships and brought to different parts of Europe, right? So that just go to show you the those of our people that talk about, well, the natives and the Hispanics, they don't fit the curses. But according to history, they do fit the curses, right? So it says this plague wiped out between 90 to 96% of the inhabitants in 3 years, destroying most native Indian villages completely. And you see that, right? So we got to remember this is the day that our people celebrating. If you call yourself a Christian, right? If you a so-called Black, Hispanic, or Native American, and you celebrating Thanksgiving, and now's the time to wake up, right? Now is the time to do your research and look into the true history of this so-called holiday, right? So it says when the pilgrims arrived in 1620, they were very unprepared for the winter weather, and many died, right? It says pilgrims dug up native Indian graves and robbed and vandalized their graves for dishes and pots, stole their crops, robbed their storage huts for food, and took many of the Indian natives prisoners, right? You see that? So you telling me that they don't fit the curses, right? Hey, our people need to go over this history, right? And you can't tell me these people ain't go through the curses, right? Man taken into captivity, right? Had they land stolen from them, right? Then the Lord say in Deuteronomy 28 that he was going to send a nation of against us from far, from the one end of the earth, as swift as the eagle flieth, right? Right? So let me get that in Sirach 12 and 10.
Con.
And Salakia, hey King Zephaniah, you still on here?
Con.
Hey, can you give me the book of Psalm chapter 55 and
Con.
verse can you start at verse 3, Baba Kasha?
Con.
So let's bring this out in Sirach 12 and 10.
This is the book of Ecclesiasticus 12 and 10. Never trust thine enemy, for like as iron rusteth, so is his wickedness.
Right, so the Lord said never trust your enemy. Right, so why did the Lord say to never trust your enemy? And we just brought it out in Psalm 58. The Lord said, as soon as the wicked are born, they come out the womb speaking lies, right? So why would you trust somebody they literally come out the womb speaking lies, right? So how the hell you go trust these people, right? So the Lord said, never trust your enemy, right? So read on.
Con. Though he humble himself and go crouching, yet take good heed and beware of him, and
And we
thou
just
shalt
read it
be
in
unto
this
him.
Salaki, and we just read it in this history, right? What did that so-called white man do when he came to this land and he encountered the so-called native Indians, right? Then he humbled himself, right? And he pretended like that he was friends with them, right? Hey, matter of fact, hey Ephraim, can you pull up that screenshot I sent you the other day
Of
going into
the treaties.
going into those different peace treaties?
Hey, I already had it up, but I'm gonna bring up something a little better. I'm gonna bring up a list of treaties that they've broken.
Con. But this is show the people that one first, and then we'll
Con.
go into that list you got.
There it is. Can you see that?
That's the one I sent you.
Yeah, that's where it's from. That's the screenshot.
Con, you mind reading that off?
Con.
Just that part.
It says from 1778 to 1871, the United States government entered into more than 500 treaties with the Native American tribes. All of these treaties have since been violated in some way or outright broken by the U.S. government, with Native Americans and First Nations peoples still fighting for their treaty rights in federal, I'm sure that probably says federal law somewhere.
Right, but that, I mean, that was it. That was all I wanted on that, just to be
Hmm.
brief. But I mean, you see that over 500 treaties broken or violated, right? And that's why the Lord said we ain't supposed to trust these people. The Lord said, "Never trust thine enemy, though he humble himself." Right? Even though he make a treaty with you, you still can't trust him. Right? So you say you got that list.
Con.
All right, you want to bring it
Uh,
out?
here it is. It's right on the screen. We got treaties that have been broken since the 1600s. Treaty after treaty after treaty. Look, 1726, deed and trust from 3 of the 5 nations of Indians to the chancellor. Treaty after treaty, international treaties. Like it, the wickedness has no end, right? Like the precept
Hey,
says, they're born speaking lies.
right? You see that? They shake your hand, right? They smile in your face, but hey, can't trust these people, man. The Lord said, "Never trust your enemy." You see that? I mean, damn, you see,
Hey, the list is still going.
right? That's crazy. I mean,
Uh,
that don't make no sense, man. That's just ridiculous.
and still doing it.
Wow, that's crazy. That's a lot.
Still doing it.
You see that? So that's all you wanted to show on that.
Yeah, con.
All right, Con. So let's finish this off in Sirach. What I think we was at verse 11. Shalak.
Con, con. Ecclesiasticus 12 and 11. Though he humble himself and go crouching, yet take good heed, and beware of him. And thou shalt be unto him as if thou hadst wiped a looking glass. And thou shalt know that his rust hath not altogether wiped away. Want me to keep
Con.
going?
Con. Verse
Con.
12.
Set him not by thee, lest when he hath overthrown thee, he stand up in thy place. Neither
Salakia.
let
So
him
let's
sit
stop.
at
Let's stop right there. So you see that what we've been going over. This says, "Set him not by thee," right? And we got examples of that going into this different history, right? What happened when the so-called Native Americans made all these different treaties with the so-called white man, and he broke every single last one of them, right? And then he stabbed those people in the back, right? Gave them smallpox, right? Stole their land, right? Gave them all different kind of diseases. And hey, the Lord said, "Set him not by thee, lest when he have overthrown thee, he stand up in thy place." You can't make this up. What the so-called white man doing right now in America? And he literally standing up in thy place. He's standing up in a place that he stole from our people. And he acting like he ain't do nothing wrong, right? To this day, these people walking around on stolen land, right? But hey, what Esau say every time we go out there to camp? Or he said, "Well, I didn't do it," right? But you just as guilty. You know why? Because you still haven't given back the things that you stole, right? If you was truly sorry, wouldn't you give back the things that you stole, right?
That would only
And the
make
Lord,
sense.
right? That will only make sense. And the Lord said in First Samuel chapter 2 and 3, He said, "Hey, actions are weighed." Right? The Lord said, "By Him, actions are weighed." Right? They got a good talk. They say, "Well, it wasn't me. My forefathers did it. I had nothing to do with it." Right? So actions prove that you just as guilty because you still haven't given back the things that they stole. Right? If you know that they stole everything from us and that you still benefit to this day off of the things that they stole, the righteous thing to do would be to give back what they stole, right? But is Esau trying to give back the land that his forefathers stole? Hell no, right? What they out there doing? They out there partying, turning up, right? Right? They out there living wealthy off of the riches that they stole from our people, right? They can give less than a damn about our people, right? Why to this day our people living on reservations, right? Our people living in the ghettos, right? Our people living in the projects, why they living in gated communities, still living off of the generational wealth that they stole from our people, right? So where we at? Verse 12.
12.
Let's finish verse 12.
Con. Set him not by thee, lest when he hath overthrown thee, he stand up in thy place. Neither let him sit at thy right hand, lest he seek to take thy seat. And thou at the last remember my words, and be pricked therewith.
So let's stop right there. It says, lest he seek to take thy seat. And that's all Esau do, man. When he came to this land, and we already know what he was thinking in his mind, right? He was like, damn, this is a nice land right here. They got all these resources. They got all this gold, right? They got all this cattle, right? So he was seeking to take the seat of the so-called Native Americans and take this land from them, right? And take their cattle, take their crops, right? And we just read it in that book, going into that history, right? So you can't make this stuff up, right? So let's jump down to the verse 16, Baba Kashar.
Con. Verse 16. An enemy speaketh sweetly with his lips, but in his heart he imagineth how to throw thee into a pit. He will weep with his eyes, but if he find opportunity, he will not be satisfied with blood.
Right, you see that? It said he speaketh sweetly with his lips, right? That's what they did when they came over here to this land, right? Making all these different peace treaties, right? And then turn around and violated and broke every single last treaty that they made, right? It says he imagined how to throw thee into a pit, right? I mean, he imagining ways to kill you, right? To destroy you, to steal from you, right? That's what that means when it says put you in the pit, right? You ever heard the saying where people say, I'm gonna put you in the dirt, I'm gonna put you 6 feet under, right? That's what Esau, that's how Esau think, right? Every single landmass that he go to, he imagining in his mind how to overthrow that land, right? How to steal their resources, right? So let's read down to 18.
Con. If adversity come upon thee, thou shalt find him there first. And though he pretend to help thee, yet shall he undermine thee. He will shake his head and clap his hands and whisper much and change his countenance.
Right, and change his countenance, right? Right? Like that going to when people say, you know how people say, yeah, he finally showed his true colors, right? So that's how Esau get down, right? He go act like he your friend, but at the end of the day, he go show his true colors, right? It says, and though he pretend to help thee, and that's all Esau doing right now. That's why our people deceive, because Esau, all he do is pretend to help you, right? He pretend to help our people when he give us welfare, right? He give you Section 8, right? He give you food stamps, right? All these different presidents, before they get elected, they go on TV and tell our people how they go help our communities, right? All that is just pretend. He just pretending to help you, right? But if he really wanted to help you, like I said, he would give us reparations. He would have gave us our land back, right? He would have took his ass back to the damn caves that he came from and gave his land back to our people, right? He would have gave back all the riches and the gold and all the precious stones that he stole from our people, right? Right. right? So I'm gonna go back to this book. Like I said, I'm gonna jump around in this book a little bit, right? So I'm gonna finish this chapter off. It says the colonists invited the chief of the Wampanoag tribe, Masoi, to their first feast as a celebration of the land that they had forcibly acquired. The English invited several tribes to this celebration feast. The colonists offered food and drink, and 200 Indians had mysteriously dropped dead from unknown poison. Right. So you see that, right? That's why the Lord said you can't ever trust your enemies. Right. I'm gonna read that last part again. Right. It says the English invited several tribes to this celebration feast. Right. The colonists offered food and drink, and 200 Indians had mysteriously dropped dead from unknown poison. Right? You see that? Right? But this the same nation our people want to, be friends with, right? They want to trust in these people, right? But they don't go into the history and see all the horrible atrocities that these people did to our people, right? And that's why the Lord said you can't never trust your enemy, right? As if you had that in
Psalm 55.
and it's gonna go along what we was bringing out in Sirach chapter 12, right? Where the Lord said, never trust thine enemy, right? Though he humble himself, right? So let's bring that out, Psalm 55 and 3.
Come. Psalms 55 and 3. Because of the voice of the enemy, because of the oppression of the wicked, for they cast iniquity upon me, and in wrath they hate me. Verse 4. My heart is sore pained within me, and the terrors of death are fallen upon me. Verse 5. Fearfulness and trembling are come upon me, and horror hath overwhelmed me. Verse 6. And I said, oh, that I had wings like a dove, for then would I fly away and be at rest. You want me to keep going? Yeah, we lost.
I think he fell off.
Yeah.
Hey, Salakia, yeah, that was good. As he get back on, I want to also bring out this Psalm 17:13. Arise, O Lord, disappoint him, cast him down, deliver my soul from the wicked, which is thy sword. Right, so everything's going into the Most High uses actual enemies as his as an example of how do you say it, of our people, right? Going against the Most High.
Hey, so Salaki, I don't know what happened, man. Satan kicked me out the chat, man.
Man, that's that Wi-Fi.
Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, you good now.
Salaki. You was going into some Cap.
Yeah, I was just saying to summarize it, because I've been seeing the wicked, right? I'm gonna read it again. This is Psalms 17:13. Arise, O Lord, disappoint him, cast him down, deliver my soul from the wicked, which is thy sword. So the Most High will use these other nations as his rod of indignation towards our people. That's why it's important for our people to stay obedient and keep these commandments of the Most High. That's all I want to bring out. But I think y'all was in Psalm 55. That's when you dropped off.
Yeah, man. Satan took me out, man. Let's go to Psalm 55 and can I get verse 20, Baba Kashah?
Con. Psalms 55, verse 20. He hath put forth his hands against such as be at peace with him. He hath broken his covenant.
Right, you see that? Right? So that's literally, we were just going into those different peace treaties, right? It said Esau, he put forth his hand against such as be at peace with him, right? When he came to this land, the natives was at peace with Esau, right? You see that? They showed him how to survive during the wintertime. They showed him how to grow crops, right? They showed these people how to survive. And they made different peace treaties with the so-called pilgrims, right? But what did the verse say? It says, he had put forth his hands against such as be at peace with him. He had broken his covenant, right? So like Ephraim went into earlier, pulling up those different treaties that Esau broke with the so-called native Indians, right? He had broken his covenant, right? You see that over 500, what did it say, over 500 different covenant peace treaties?
Over 500 plus.
Over 500 plus. You see that? You can't make this stuff up, right? And the Lord said, ye shall know the truth, and the truth go set you free. And we got the truth coming straight out these scriptures, right? You see that? Right? Salaki, can you read down to verse 23, Zeph?
Verse 21. The words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart. His words were softer than oil, yet were they drawn swords. Verse 22.
Right, you see that? So let's stop right there, right? So that verse right there go right along with what we was bringing out in Sirach, right? I'm gonna go back to that Sirach 12 and verse 16. It says, an enemy speaketh sweetly with his lips, right? But in his heart he imagineth how to throw thee into a pit. That's the same thing that go in that song. It says the words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart, right? You see that, right? So these scriptures, right, through different prophets, it continued to repeat itself, going into the same thing about the enemy, right? About the wicked, right? About the same people that the Lord told us to not trust in, right? And beware of these people, right? Right. So let's finish reading that.
Verse 22. Cast thy burden upon the Most High, and he shall sustain thee. He shall never suffer the righteous to be moved. Verse 23. But thou, O God, shall bring them down into the pit of destruction. Bloody and deceitful men shall not live out half their days, but I will trust in thee.
Right. You see what the Lord called our enemy? He said the bloody and deceitful man, right? Tell me that's not talking about Esau, right? He is that bloody and that deceitful man, right? And we're going into that history to prove that to our people, right? Who got more blood on their hands than the so-called white man, right? Who killed most so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans than the so-called white man, right? You see that, right? Hey, Kazak, can you give me Psalm chapter 140 and verse 1?
Hey, Salakia too. Hey, Salakia,
Go
real
ahead,
quick.
Cap.
Sirach 12 and 16. Look at verse 17. And tell me this doesn't describe the so-called white man today. Right? It says, if adversity come upon thee, thou shalt find him there first. Now think about that. You ever have a situation where something's always stolen or something's vandalized and it's the same person that could be a suspect? I don't know if, like, when I was growing up, something was stolen and it's the same person that is always in the mix. Always is like a recurring theme when it comes to some of the things that's vandalized or broken or missing. I'm gonna read it again. If adversity come upon thee, thou shalt find him there first, and though he pretend to help thee, yet shall he undermine thee. How many, like you were saying, how many politicians pander to the so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native American about reparations, or they'll go on Joe Biden will say, you're not voting for me, you're not Black. Like,
Right.
you know what I'm saying? That whole idea, which I think voting in politics is dumb anyway, because you got Black people voting for so-called white of their political affiliation, and not necessarily about about what they stand for. You see what I'm saying? It's almost like we're programmed, and they want to say Israelites are brainwashed, but Black people, Native Americans, well, Mexicans not so much. Mexicans, you kind of see them go towards the Republican side, right? But so-called Black folks, right? We're taught to vote Democrat just cause. Or who's on the ballot? I don't know. Just vote for the Democrat, right? And they want to say that the Negro, or us wearing fringes and teaching the words of God, they want to say that you brainwashed for just doing what God said. That's how flipped upside down this world is. We'll take the words, and that's a beautiful precept on Psalm 51, especially 21. The words of his mouth was smoother than butter, right? And we think about these peace treaties with the Gadite. Think about the peace treaty that they're making with us today. We're gonna get to our reparations. They just in California, they had they brought up reparations, and that didn't even go through. It didn't go further than my thumb, right? Like these ideas and Black folks are always year in and year out. They gave you Barack Obama, they gave you this person, that person, year in year out. What are we doing? We waiting for the next opportunity, right? And we always get the blunt end of the stick, right? And this is how you know we're talking about Edomites. I'm gonna give it right back to you. This is First Maccabees 1. I'm gonna start at verse 29. And after 2 years fully expired, the king sent his chief collector of tribute unto the cities of Judah, who came unto Jerusalem with a great multitude, and spake peaceable words unto them. Think about that, right? These other nations, especially chiefly the so-called Greek, who is the Edomite, and spake peaceable words unto them, but all was deceit. For when they had given him credence, he fell suddenly upon the city and smote it very sore, and destroyed much people of Israel, right? And we fall for the same trick year in and year out, decade, century, millennia. This is from going back to the Psalms, going back to the times of the Judges, right? Going back to the times of Genesis, where Esau said, I will slay my brother Jacob, right? We were fighting in the womb of our mother, and then we came out and it was still war, right? He said he fell suddenly upon the city and smote it very sore, and destroyed much of the people of Israel. And when he had taken the spoils of the city, he set it on fire and pulled down the houses. What does that sound like? Where they set the cities on fire. Why is it, and this is just me, I don't know if anybody else believes what I'm about to say, but when we have these protests and the cities be set on fire in Baltimore, or when you ever go to certain parts of, especially in North America, United States, what do we do when one of our brothers gets shot? One of our sisters gets shot? We go out there and protest in our neighborhood, but then we start setting the city on fire. That's what they tell us. But my interpretation on how I look at it, it just don't make sense for Negroes to set the cities on fire without it being a catalyst of these undercover provocateurs that'll set the city on fire, bust the windows, destroy the city. It's been the theme or the spirit of Esau going back to the time of the Maccabees, right? Where they set the city on fire. Where we at? I'm about to clean it up right here, but finish it out for you. And pulled down the houses and walls thereof on every side. And that's Esau's MO, right? Look at Palestine today. They're finding ways to destroy the city. When you destroy houses and buildings, go to Baltimore, and you can't tell, like, it demoralizes the people when you have a big hole in the ceiling and people live there, right? Go to some of these places in Houston, right, or in New Orleans or Detroit, Michigan. The list goes on and on. These hoods where it's rubble. It looks like a third world country, and people gotta grow up, and that's their neighborhood, that's their environment that they live in, and it demoralizes the people there, seeing a visual representation of your neighborhood, versus when you go to certain parts of the Americas, Beverly Hills, or certain parts in Wake Forest, and here in North Carolina, certain parts in Miami, right, where it's real nice, clean grass, no trash on the concrete. These things are visual and they just demoralize and they discourage our people, which puts that spirit of negativity on our people, right? In verse 33, then builded they the city of David with a great and strong wall and with mighty towers, and made it a stronghold for them, right? But all in all, what I just want to bring out is what the brother Yahawah is bringing out beautifully is a lot of our people just going in the name of, you know, Thanksgiving. You go to some of these reservations, right? It's demoralizing. It's no funding, no real infrastructure, right? No resources, and they expect people to live in there and just be happy that they're American citizens, right? And that's what we going against as a nation of people. I'm gonna end it right there.
Some beautiful points by the captain once again, right? Going into this history, right? So the last part I wanted to go into for this lesson, and like I said, these things we go over every year, you know, this time of year, during Thanksgiving and all these different holidays. But I'm gonna go into this last part about the Pequot War, right? So I'm gonna read this last paragraph in this book. Hey Ephraim, can you pull up that next video I sent you?
Khan.
The one with the elder Gadite brother. And I'm gonna read this real quick. So this going into the Pequot War, right? It says the only Native American Indians who attended the Pilgrims' Thanksgiving in 1637 were those Pequots taken captive during a very violent raid that preceded it. On May 26, 1637, at least 700 of the tribe's estimated 8,000 members were slaughtered by Caucasian English settlers from 4 colonies and their native allies. This became known as the Pequot Massacre. Bloodshed was the most consistent theme of the first Thanksgiving in the New World, right? You see that? I'm going to jump down. It says, those who survived the attacks were sold into slavery, right? And with hundreds, if not thousands, of Pequots slaughtered and murdered, the Governor Bradford deemed it appropriate to call for Thanksgiving, right? And get this part. It says to celebrate their victory. You see that? Celebrate their victory, not our victory, their victory, right? You see that? So it's time for our people, the so-called Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, to wake up, right? Why are we celebrating their victory, right? And like the captain was going into the book of Maccabees, and during the time of the Maccabees, we were celebrating our victory, right? Our victory over the Greeks, right? Going into the Feast of Dedication, right? Also known as Hanukkah, right? During the time of the Exodus, when we celebrated Passover, we celebrated our victory over the Egyptians when the Lord delivered us with a mighty hand, right? From the hand of our enemies, right? From the hand of bondage, right? But in today's world, our people so destroyed where we celebrating the victory of our enemies over our own people, right? You see that? And that goes back to the first scripture that we brought out in John 8:32. It said, "Ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free." Right? Right. That's why the Lord said, even going back to the gospel, right? When you go to that Isaiah 61, the Lord told us to go out on the highways and the byways and to preach deliverance to the captives, right? But our people's minds is so backwards that we out here trying to preach deliverance to our people, right? That's held captive. But instead, our people, they want to celebrate the days where they were taken captive. You see that? Our people literally celebrate the days where we were being taken captive, right? So I'm going to read this last part. It says, "They stole and seized the land from the natives, capturing strong young native Indians for slaves and killing the rest. The Pequot War was one of the bloodiest Indian wars ever fought. In 1637, in the pre-dawn hours, the sleeping Indians were surrounded by English and Dutch mercenaries who ordered them to come outside. Those who came out were shot or clubbed to death, while the terrified women and children who huddled inside their houses were burned alive." Right? You see that? Right? So, hey, Kazak, you still got that Psalm 140 verse 1?
God, King.
And Ephraim, real quick, can you pull up John 10 and 10? And Kazak, you can bring that out in Psalm 140.
God, this is the book of Psalm, chapter 140, verse 1. It says, "Deliver me, O Yahawah, from the evil man. Preserve me from the violent man."
Right. So during this time, hey, this is a prayer that all Israel should be praying for. Right. While our enemies celebrating the day where they were victorious over our people from rape, robbing, and murdering our people, we need to pray to the Lord and ask Him to deliver us from the hand of the evil man. Right. And we want to be the true service of the Lord. We want to be delivered from the hand of this evil man. Only an evil man would do something like this, right? Murder millions of our people, man, woman, and children, and still celebrate these customs in 2023. But these same people claim that they feel sorry about what their forefathers did to our people, while they continue to celebrate the holidays where their forefathers was murdering our people, right? And so we want to be delivered from the hand of this evil and this violent man, right? Let's read verse 2.
Verse 2. It says, "Which imagine mischiefs in their heart. Continually are they gathered together for war."
Right, you see that? And the Most High God described our enemy. The Most High God described the children of Edom to a T, right? When we read in Psalm 55, he said this is a bloody and deceitful man, right? In Psalm 140, it said he is an evil man. He is a violent man, right? It says continually is he gathered together for war. You can't tell me that's not talking about Esau, right? Who's more violent? Who's more bloody, right? Who's continually gathering together for war more than the so-called white man, right? And we literally going into the history, right? I'm gonna read that part again. It says they stole and seized the land from the natives, right? Capturing strong young native Indians for slaves and killing the rest, right? So if you want to be delivered from the hand of these people, right? You see that? Right? So Ephraim, you got that John 10 and 10?
Huh.
All right, let me get there real quick. All right, so you can bring it out if you got it.
Con. The book of John, chapter 10 and verse 10. The thief cometh not but for to steal and to kill and to destroy.
Right, so let's
I
stop
am
right there. Right, so hey, our people need to wake up. You need to realize that these other nations, chiefly the so-called white man, right, who are the Edomites according to the Bible, these people are not your friends, right? They're not your companions, right? They was never put on this earth, right, to rule over you, right? Like the cat brought out earlier, the Lord put these people on the earth to be the sword, right? To destroy our people, right? So the Lord said, the thief cometh not but for to steal and to kill and to destroy. That's his whole job and his whole purpose on this earth. Is to steal, kill, and destroy, right? And that's evident through the history that we bringing out, right? Right? Even if you don't believe in the Bible, right? You can deny the Bible all you want, but you can't deny this history,
nope.
right? So people, well, I don't believe in the Bible. Okay, well, go to the library and pick up a world history book, and you tell me, right, that the so-called white man hasn't murdered millions and millions of our people.
Shit, you could pick up any book.
Right. You see that? But hey, our people want to continue to deny the truth. And that's why a lot of our people have to be destroyed. Right? A lot of our people will have to learn the hard way. Right? But that was did you finish that off, King?
La. It
All right,
says,
Con.
the thief cometh not but for to steal and to kill and to destroy. I am come that they might have life and that they might have it more abundantly.
Right, and that's beautiful, right? So that's why we have to return back to the Lord and keep the laws and commandments, right? Because the Lord said, I have come that they might have life. But we don't got no life in this land. Our lives have been taken from us in this land, right? We don't have abundant life in this land. We dying at an early age, right? From the hands of our oppressors. Our children being shot down in the streets, right? Our oppressors putting guns and drugs in our communities, right? Our oppressors putting their knees on our neck, right? You see that? So that's why it's important for our people to return back to the Lord, right? So let me finish this book off, and then I'm gonna bring out this quick precept, and then we can play that video, right? So it says, those who came out were shot or clubbed to death, while the terrified women and children who huddled inside their hut houses were burned alive. The next day, the governor of Massachusetts Bay Colony declared a day of Thanksgiving. You see that? Because 700 unarmed men and women and children had been murdered, right? So they declared a day of Thanksgiving because 700 unarmed men, women, and children had been murdered, right? You see that? And that's the day our people celebrating even into this very day, right? We celebrating the day where our people were unjustly murdered, right? So let me bring this out real quick. Right? Because you still got a lot of our people that might say, well, it was our fault, right? And you're right, it is our fault. We the ones that broke God's commandments, right? Right? The Lord put curses on our people, and He allowed our enemies and these other nations to rule over us because we were disobedient to His commandments, right? Like the cat was bringing out, hey, Esau is the sword, right? The Lord used Esau to punish our people, right? But He didn't have to go that far. Right? He didn't have to do all that. Right? He didn't have to butt break our men during slavery. Right? He didn't have to rape our women. He didn't have to burn our children alive. Right? You see that? So let me bring this out real quick. Right? This the book of Zechariah, chapter 1 and verse 15. It says, I am very sore displeased with the heathen that are at ease, right? For I was but a little displeased, and they helped for the affliction, right? You see that? So the Lord said he was but a little displeased, right? But the heathens, they forward our affliction, right? Like I said, it's one thing to put us into captivity, right? It's one thing to have us in bondage, but it's another thing to go to the extent that these people did. They didn't have to do the things that they did to our people, right? They didn't have to butt break our people, right? Rape our women and burn our children alive, feed our children to alligators. That's taking it too far, right? The Lord said they did too much. They took it too far. The Lord said he gave them an inch and they took a mile, right? So that's why these people have to be punished, right? Because you got those of our people, we the ones that broke God's commandments. Yeah, you're right. We did break the commandments, right? Yeah, the Lord did use Esau to punish us and to put us into captivity, right? But they overstepped their boundaries, right? You see that? I'm gonna read that part again. It says, those who came out were shot or clubbed to death, while the terrified women and children who huddled inside their houses were burned alive, right? You see that, right? So Esau overstepped his boundaries, right? Right? He didn't have to do that to our people, right? So that's why the Lord has to bring judgment and punishment upon our enemies, right? So that was it on that holiday hustle book. And like I said again, for all those that's viewing, right, we highly, suggest that y'all check out this book along with all the rest of the books that the elder got, right? And Ephraim, you said you go put the link in the chat.
Already put it.
All praises, right? So let's go into this video, and then I got a few more precepts, and unless somebody else got something to bring out, that's gonna be it for me. But let's go into this video.
One of the stories you talked about was of the Native American being over 10 million at one point, now to less than 1 million.
When the European invasion came here in the late 1490s, there were 112 million of us in this Republic of the United States. It's not a country, it's a republic. And in less than 500 years, through genocidal practices, through the introduction of diseases that we had no immunity to, and other evil things that he brought with him, arrogance and greed, our numbers went from 112 million to less than 1 million by 1930. How do you kill off 111 million great people, loving people?
Salaki, hey, Salaki, can you go back to that that part? That part where they had the picture of, I want to read what it said on that picture.
How do you kill off 111 million
let's stop right here.
Great people, loving people?
To that part where they had the that picture up. Right. So I'm trying to see what it say at the top.
Great people, loving 111 million.
Right. So
great people.
Okay, so it says
It says the biggest genocide, Lucky. It says the biggest genocide in human history didn't occur in Nazi Germany, but on American soil.
Dang, you see that? Right? You see that? So that goes to even into, a lot of these Edomites, right? A lot of these so-called Israelis, where they be saying, well, we be out on the streets and we be talking about all the atrocities that happen to our people, right? Like slavery, right? And they always say, well, what about the Holocaust, right? And try to act like that has some kind of relevance to the things that happen to our people, right? But let's see what that says. It says the biggest genocide happened on American soil, right? The biggest genocide happened to our people, the so-called Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, right? Not to what happened to those fake Israelis over there where they talking about the Holocaust, right? Right, what it say? It says 100 million. What it say at the bottom? 100 million Native Americans were slaughtered,
Were
and less
slaughtered
than
and lost their homeland.
right. You see that 100 million, right? What did 100 million Israelis, or even close to that? Did 100 million of them get put to death over there at the Holocaust?
Hey, you could
Nah.
even go. You could even go a step further and ask if it even happened. Like, there's some serious theories out there that, with proof, of course, attached to it, that it didn't even happen, and it was just a big old show.
Right, you
So
see
this
that?
whole world is a theater.
Right, hey, the Lord said, "Never trust thy enemy." Right, you see that? Remember, it said as soon as he be born, he speak lies. Remember, I said you got to question everything that come out this man's mouth. Right? He wants you to feel bad for what so called happened to his people, but what about this history? Right? Hey, what do we read in Psalm? Hey, David, one of David's prayers, he said, "Oh Lord, deliver me from the hands of the violent man, of the bloody and deceitful man, who imagineth mischiefs in his heart." Right? Right. So let's finish this video.
Loving people, people that are willing to share whatever they have, regardless of how small it is or how much they got. How do you do that?
That's a genocide you don't hear in the history books.
Absolutely. And another form of genocide that they practiced on us was paper genocide. There was a Dr. Arthur Plecker in Virginia, a cold-blooded racist, through taking a baby, an Indian baby, and instead of putting Indian or tribal name on that birth certificate, he would put mulatto or other. So many people walking around, even today as we speak, 2017, don't know who they are because at birth, their identity was destroyed through Dr. Arthur Plecker, the father of eugenics, who became the director of vital statistics during this time for the state of Virginia.
Now, another thing that they teach in the history book was the whole Thanksgiving, the meeting. But we talked about that, and I wanted people to know the truth about that. It was actually, if you want to talk about how Thanksgiving came about.
I do want to talk about it. First of all, you got to remember, my dear brother, that's history, his story. It's not our story. When they proclaimed Thanksgiving, it was in Mystic, Connecticut. A tribe of Indian people, the Pequots, that were thriving and surviving. But shortly after, we taught these white people how to farm and how to take care of the land and raise food. They got beside themselves. few years after they started prospering, they decided that they were going to take their women and their children out to a big field and have a cookout celebration. No Indians brought deer. There was never a Thanksgiving dinner with them, according to what they say. Not
Hey,
true.
Salakia, and
The
he
celebration of Thanksgiving.
going into the history that we just read about in that book, going into the Pequot Wars, right? He bringing out the same history that we just went into, right? Hey, Salakia, hey, Kazak, can you give me the book of Amos, chapter 1 and verse 11, Baba Kashar?
Okay.
And hey Zeph, can you give me Obadiah 1 and 6?
Con.
And Shalak, you still there, Shalak?
Con.
Can you give me Ezekiel 35 and 1, Baba Kashar? I'm gonna get a few precepts after this video. All right, Ephraim, you can finish the video.
Thanksgiving was the men walked off from their families and went further north into Mystic, Connecticut, and he murdered these Pequot Indian children, elders, women, and men. Got them in the enclosure of their habitat. They had built forts, per se, but that was only for the protection of their people. And they trapped them in where they couldn't get out, and they set it on fire, and they burned them to death. Then they came back. They were so thankful that they had killed these Indians, but that was the first Thanksgiving, not what you read about in their books.
It wasn't until when President Lincoln decided, instead of having it every other day when they were going to different tribes, killing them, that he decided to make it once a year, a day of Thanksgiving once a year.
True. And let me tell you about President Lincoln. Because Indians, the Dakota, and Nakota Indians wouldn't give up. These are the people from Minnesota, North Dakota, South Dakota, up in that area, would not give up. They were fighting, and they captured in excess of 200 of them. And they wanted to hang them all. But Lincoln intervened because of politics, should I say politics. And he said, no, I don't want you to hang them all. Pick 38 of them. And that's how they came up with the Mankato 38. That was the largest mass hanging ever in this country, this republic.
It turns out there is one.
Right. So that was it on that video, right? So like we've been going into all night, going into the history of Esau, right? Right, all the wickedness and evil acts that he did to our people, right? So like I said, these people are not gonna go unpunished, right? The Lord will have vengeance upon the enemies of our people, right? So let me get that in Amos 1:11, because a lot of our people say, well, you know, God go forgive everybody, right? The Lord is good, the Lord is loving all the time. And no, the Lord said he gonna punish people according to the scriptures. The Lord said all these other nations have a judgment coming to them for the evil and the wickedness that they did to his chosen people, right? Because our people think, you know, the slave and the slave master gonna be holding hands in the kingdom of heaven together, right? But that's a damn delusion, right? So let's see what the Lord said about the children of Edom, right? Let's
You
bring
gotta
that
be
out.
smoking crack if you think that's gonna happen, man.
Hey, a lot of our people might be smoking crack then, man, because that's what they think, man. Right? So let's bring that out, Amos 1:11.
Con. This is the book of Amos, chapter 1, verse 11. It says, "Thus saith Yahawah, for 3 transgressions of Edom, and for 4, I will not turn away the punishment thereof."
Right? So the Lord said he not gonna turn away the punishment thereof. Right? Have these people ever been punished for what they did to our people? Has the so-called white man ever been punished for what he did to the so-called Native Americans? Or is he still living lavish in his land? The land that he stole from our people, right? So people want to say, well, in the New Testament, Jesus died for all, so we all go get the kingdom of heaven. No, the Lord said these people got to be punished. And these people punishment haven't happened yet, right? But it's soon to come, right? Lord willing, right? So let's finish reading.
Because he did pursue his brother with the sword.
Right? You see that? They pursued their brother with the sword, right? Like the cat was going into earlier, that Genesis 27. Hey, Esau said, I'm going to slay my brother Jacob, right? And that's what you see all throughout history. You see Esau slaying his brother Jacob, right? Slaying the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, right? Read on.
And did cast off all pity, and his anger did tear perpetually, and he kept his wrath forever.
Right, you see that he kept his wrath forever, right? Going into the history, even that Gadite elder that they was interviewing, right? Going into that same history that we went into about the Pequot massacre, right? When Esau murdered our women and our children and stole our land from us, right? Right. So the Lord said he not gonna turn away the punishment, right? So these people have to be punished, right? And if you were so-called Black, Hispanic, or Native American, and you love to partake in the holidays where our people was being murdered, and you gonna be punished right along with them, right? Thus saith the Lord, right? So, hey, Kazak, can you give me the book of Micah, chapter 2 and verse 1, right?
Okay.
And let's bring that out in Obadiah 1 and 6.
This is the book of Obadiah, verse 6. How are the things of Esau searched out? How are his hidden things sought up?
Right, you see that? So Esau tried to hide his own history. Right, he tried to deceive our people, deceive our children by teaching us lies in the school system. Right, teaching our children that they came together and had a peaceful feast day with our ancestors, but really he raped, robbed, and murdered our ancestors and stole their land from them. Right, so the Lord put the Spirit in His true servants in these last days to proclaim the truth about the history about the so-called white man, right? So let's read verse 7.
Verse 7. All the men of thy confederacy have brought thee even to the border. The men that were at peace with thee have deceived thee and prevailed against thee.
Right, you can't, Salaki, you can't make that up. And we just brought that history out about the peace treaties, right? It said the men that were at peace with thee have deceived thee, right? So they pretended like they was at peace with us, and then they deceived our people and broke hundreds of treaties with the so-called Native Americans. And it said, and prevailed against thee, right? So that's what this so-called Thanksgiving is all about. This is about their victory, right? Them prevailing over our people, right? So this finish verse 7, and then that's gonna be it.
God. They that eat thy bread have laid a wound under thee. There is none understanding in him.
Right. So that was it on that, right? So who had that Ezekiel 35 and 1?
Khan, I got that.
Khan and Ephraim, can you pull up can you give me Habakkuk 2 and 4?
I got you, King.
All right. Now let's read this Ezekiel 35 and 1, and let's jump down to let's read down to verse 8, Baba Kashah.
Khan, Ezekiel 35 and 1. Moreover, the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Son of man, set thy face against Mount Seir, and
So let's
prophesy
stop right
against
there.
it.
Right? It says, Son of man, set thy face against Mount Seir, right? So what does that mean? If you against somebody, that means you're in opposition to that person, right? Right? So the Lord said, set thy face against Mount Seir. Who is Mount Seir, right? When you go back to Genesis 36 and 8, it says, thus dwelt Esau in Mount Seir, right? Esau is Edom, right? So when it says set thy face against Mount Seir, that's talking about the children of Edom, right? So the Lord told us to set our face against this certain nation, right? So let's read on.
And say unto it, Thus saith the Lord God, Behold, O Mount Seir, I am against thee, and I will stretch out mine hand against thee, and I will make thee most desolate. I will lay thy cities waste, and thou shalt be desolate, and thou shalt know that I am the Lord, because thou hast had a perpetual hatred, and hast shed the blood of the children of Israel by the force of the sword in the time of their calamity.
So
In the
Laki, so like,
time,
let's stop right there. So he says, because they have shed the blood of the children of Israel, right? And we just pulled up the history, right? Shedding the blood, it said over 100 million so-called Native Americans, right? I mean, you can't get no more. It don't get no more worse than that, right? Shedding the blood over 100 million Native Americans, and that's just, hey, look, that's just one tribe. That's just a tribe of Gad, right? The Lord said they shed the blood of the children of Israel, and they shed the blood over 100. It said over 100 million, and that's just the tribe of Gad, right? That's not even including all the rest of the tribes. So just think about that. Think about how much blood of our people that Esau shed, right? That's not even going into to the southern kingdom and all the rest of the tribes, right? So let's read on.
in the time that their iniquity had an end. Therefore, as I live, saith the Lord God, I will prepare thee unto blood, and blood shall pursue thee. Since thou hast not hated blood, even blood shall pursue thee. Thus will I make Mount Seir most desolate, and cut off from him that passeth out, and him that returneth. And I will fill his mountains with slain men, and in thy hills, and in thy valleys, and in all thy rivers, shall they fall that are slain with the sword.
Hey, all praises to the Most High, man. Hey, in the servants of the Lord, and we pray that we see this day, right? And we pray that we have the privilege to see this day, to see the destruction of our enemies, right? To see
Hey,
the
we pray we
recompense,
are part of it.
right? A Khan, right? And we pray that we get the partake in the vengeance on our enemies, right? That raped, robbed, and murdered our forefathers, right? Right. So that's something to celebrate, right? While our people gonna be celebrating the day where we was being destroyed, right? Tomorrow night, right? You gonna have so-called Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, right? Eating turkey and stuffing and mac and cheese and praying to the Lord, telling them that they thankful. Thankful for what? You thankful that your land was stolen from you, right? You thankful that your people was being raped, robbed, and murdered, right? You thankful that you still in captivity and you still breaking the Lord's commandments even unto this very day, right? Hey, remember, we keep going back to that first scripture we brought out. Hey, ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. It's time for our people to know the truth. But in order to know the truth, you got to open up this Bible and you got to learn about your true history, right? So that was it on that. What I had that Micah 2 and 1, Kazak.
Okay.
All right, let me get there real quick. And Zeph, can you give me Amos 5:21? And then I got a couple more after that, and then that's gonna be it. All right, so let's bring this out. Micah 2 and 1.
This is the book of Micah, chapter 2, verse 1. It says, "Woe to them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds. When the morning is light, they practice it because it is in the power of their hand."
Right.
And they keep
Verse
going.
2.
And they covet fields and take them by violence.
Right. So let's stop right there. Right. So we all know going into covetousness, right? That's to have a strong desire of something that don't belong to you, right? Hey, this land didn't belong to Esau, but it said they covet fields and they take them by violence, right? Right, and that's the nature of the so-called white man, right? He covet all these different land masses upon the face of the earth, and then he send his military into all these different nations, and he take over, right? He take their land, their resources, right? That's how the so-called white man get down, right? So the Lord said destruction into these people, right? He said woe unto these people, right? That covet fields and take them by violence, right? So let's finish that verse off.
Verse 2. And they covet fields and take them by violence, and houses and take them away. So they oppress a man and his house, even a man and his heritage.
Right, you see that? And you can't make this up. Like I said, you can't tell me that the Lord then described these people to a T in these scriptures. He said they oppress a man and his house, even a man and his heritage, right? What happened when we go out there on the streets and proclaim that we the true Jews and the true Israelites of the Bible? Oh, now we so called we anti-Semitic, right? Yeah, we anti-Semitic because we proclaiming our true heritage, right? We proclaiming that we are the ones that fit the curses in the description in the Bible, right? But they want to call us anti-Semitic, right? So these people stole our land, they stole our language, they stole our heritage, they stole our identity, right? So the Lord said, woe unto these people, right? That covet fields and take them by violence, that oppress us, that stole everything from us, and have yet to give it back even to this very day, right? So let's get that Habakkuk 2 and 4. And Kazak, can you give me Ecclesiastes 7 and 1?
Con.
Hold on, let me get there real quick, Ethan.
Hey man, it's on the screen.
All right, Khan, I got it. Habakkuk 2 and 4.
The book of Habakkuk, chapter 2 and verse 4. It said, "Behold, his soul, which is lifted up, is not upright in him, but the just shall live by his faith."
Right, you see that? The Lord said the soul of the so-called white man is not lifted up upright in him, right? And we just brought out that history, right? What kind of sick and twisted man will burn women and children, right? Will feed children to alligators, right? What kind of sick and twisted man will butt break a grown man, right? And the Lord said these people, they spirits is not upright in them.
Damn sick.
The Lord said these people are estranged from the womb, right? You see that? So let's read verse 5.
Tongue. It says, "Yea, also because he transgresseth by wine, he is a proud man,
Right, you see that he is a proud man. You can't tell me that's not talking about Esau.
Proud boys.
Right, the proud. That's a good point. The Proud Boys. Who call themselves the Proud Boys? Is that an organization of so-called black people? Hell no, that's an organization of Esau, the so-called white man. Right. Everything is proud. You got the Proud Boys. You got gay pride. Right. How powerful do you have to be to steal this land and then not give it back and not give back the reparations to the people that you stole from? Right? You see that? So let's jump down to verse 12.
Verse 12. It says, "Woe to him that buildeth a town with blood and established a city by iniquity."
Right? So you see that? So the Lord said, destruction to him that buildeth a town with blood. Right? This whole country was built on the blood of the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. Right? We standing on the blood of our ancestors right now. Right? So the Lord said destruction into this place. Right? So it's time for our people to wake up. Right? It's time for our people to come back to their true nationality. It's time for our people to repent and separate from this folly. Right? You see that? Because the Lord is finna bring a great destruction upon this place. Right? Remember what the Lord said in Numbers. He said the land can't be cleansed by the blood that is shed therein, but by the blood of him that shed it. Right? So these people shed our blood, and it's gonna come a time when their blood gonna have to be shed. Right? Thus saith the Lord. Right? So let me get that Amos 5:21. And cause you got that Ecclesiastes 7:1.
God can.
And Ephraim, can you give me the book of Esther, chapter 3, verse 13? All right. I'm ready for that Amos 5:21.
Come. Amos 5:21. I despise your feast days, and I will not smell in your solemn assemblies. Verse
Let's read
22.
down to verse 23.
Come. Though ye offer me burnt offerings and your meat offerings, I will not accept them, neither will I regard the peace offerings of your fat beasts.
Right, so let's stop right there. Right, so that goes to show you that the Lord is not dealing with these modern day holidays that our people celebrate. Right, right. So our people gonna be praying to the Lord tomorrow, talking about, "Oh Lord, I'm thankful for this and I'm thankful for that." Right, right. The Lord said He not dealing with that. Right, He not dealing with these sacrifices to these other gods. Right, on Thanksgiving, on Christmas. Right. Right? Our people gonna be eating damn pork tomorrow, right? They gonna be eating that turkey, that stuffing, right? Hey, Northern Kingdom, they be having the damn pig with the apple in his mouth on Thanksgiving.
A nice big
Right.
giant penny.
Right. I mean, that's madness, man. The Lord said He not dealing with that, right? So let's read verse 23.
Verse 23. Take thou away from me the noise of thy songs, for I will not hear the melody of thy vows.
Right. So you see that the Lord said He not dealing with that, right? Because our people gonna rejoice, they gonna be rejoicing tomorrow, right? Partaking after the ways of the heathens, right? They gonna be slicing up that pork, right? They gonna be eating that damn stuffing, right? They gonna be pouring gravy all on the turkey, right? They gonna be getting drunk and smoking weed and getting lit, right? And the Lord said He not dealing with that, right? When in the scriptures in Leviticus 23 did the Lord tell the Israelites to celebrate Thanksgiving, right? You're not gonna see that in there. But you got all our people that claim that they Christians, right? But not keeping that one high holy day that's in the Bible, right? But they taking all the so-called holidays that the heathens keep, right? So the Lord said He not dealing with these feast days, right? So let me get that Ecclesiastes 7:1, and can you read down to verse 7, Baba Kushar?
Khan, can you let me know when you're ready?
Khan, I'm ready.
It's the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 7 from the top. It says, a good name is better than precious ointment, and the day of death than the day of one's birth. It is better to go to the house of mourning than to go to the house of feasting.
Right, so let's stop right there. The Lord said it's better to go into the house of mourning, right? Hey, if you a so-called Black, Hispanic, or Native American, during these times, you should be in the house of mourning. This is a time of mourning for our people, and we just brought it out in that history, right? This is a time where our people was being slaughtered, where our people was being murdered, right? Where our people land was stolen from them, right? But all our people want to do, like I said, our people just want a day where they could turn up, right? Where they could get drunk and get high, right? They can have a damn cookout. That's all our people want to do, right? Our people don't take nothing serious no more. Our people don't read their own history. Our people don't read books. Our people have no wisdom, no knowledge, right? They just willingly go after the ways of the other nations, right? But during this time, the servants of the Lord, we go be in the house of mourning, right? This is a day of mourning for our people. This is a day where our enemies were victorious over us because we transgressed the laws of the Lord, right? So let's read on.
Khan, it is better to go to the house of mourning than to go to the house of feasting, for that is the end of all men, and the living will lay it to his heart. Verse 3, sorrow is better than laughter, for by the sadness of the countenance the heart is made better.
Right. So like I said, during this day, hey, I ain't gonna be smiling during this day, right? Hey, while our people having a good time and watching the damn Dallas Cowboys and eating turkey, I'm gonna be pissed off on this day, right? I'm gonna be mad on this day, right? Right. My spirit gonna be vexed on this day. Cause this is a day where our people were being murdered, right? So let's read on.
Khan, verse 4, the heart of the wise is in the house of mourning.
Right. So you
But
see that. So the heart of the wise is in the house of mourning, right? So on this day, our people need to be going into this history, right? Going into these scriptures, going into these precepts, right? But instead, our people want to, just turn up, right? They want to eat that mac and cheese and that sliced ham, right? They just want to drink some Henny, right? And act a fool, right? But your mind need to be meditating on these scriptures, right? Your mind should be meditating on the history of your people, right? So let's read on.
Khan, the heart of the wise is in the house of mourning, but the heart of fools is in the house of mirth. It is better to hear the rebuke of the wise than for a man to hear the song of fools. Verse 6, for as the crackling of thorns under a pot, so is the laughter of the fool. This also is vanity. Verse 7, surely oppression maketh a wise man mad, and a gift destroyeth the heart.
Right. So that's it on that, right? So surely oppression maketh a wise man mad. And like I say all the time, that goes to show you a lot of our people are not wise because they're not mad at the oppression of the people. Right. But the servants of the Lord, hey, like I said, we gonna be mad on this day, right? Right? We ain't gonna be smiling on this day, right? Because we sick of our people being in this oppressed state, right? Suffering by the hands of these other nations, right? And it says a gift destroyeth the heart, right? So a lot of our people were destroyed because the so-called white man that baby fed you, and he didn't gave you these so-called holidays, right? He didn't gave you Juneteenth, right? So-called Black History Month, and now our people think that these other nations actually care about you, right? But the Lord gave us something that's way better than that in these scriptures, right? Like I said, we actually have high holy days that's based off the destruction of our enemies, right? Right, going into Passover, right? The Feast of Dedication, the destruction of Nicanor, right? So that was it on that. Let me get that this last one and Esther 3 and 13. And then we go jump to chapter 4.
Con. The book of Esther, chapter 3 and verse 14. Damn, man. The copy of the writing for a commandment to be given in every province was published unto all people, that they should be ready against that day. The post went out, being hastened by the king's commandment, and the decree was given in Shushan, the palace. And the king and Haman sat down to drink, but the city Shushan was perplexed. Chapter 14, 4, Salakia. When Mordecai
Salaki,
perceived...
can you read 3 and 13 again?
Con.
Just the first part.
3 and 13, it says, and the letters were sent by post into all the king's provinces to destroy, to kill, and to cause to perish all Jews, both young and old, little children and women, in one day, even upon the 13th day of the 12th month, which is the month Adar, and to take the spoil of them for a prey.
Right, so for all those that's familiar with the book of Esther, this going into the account where Haman went to the king of the Persians and the Medes, and he told him about how the Jews had the laws that was contrary to all the kings of the other nations, right? And then they put out a decree, right, to destroy all the Jews, right? So let's see what happened after that. Let's jump down to chapter 4. And let's read verse 1 through verse 3, and that's going to be it.
Chapter 4, verse 1. It says, when Mordecai perceived all that was done, Mordecai rent his clothes and put on sackcloth with ashes, and went out into the midst of the city and cried with a loud and bitter cry, and came even before the king's gate. For none might enter into the king's gate clothed with sackcloth. And in every province, whithersoever the king's commandment and his decree came, there was great mourning among the Jews, and fasting, and weeping, and wailing, and many lay in sackcloth and ashes. So
right,
Esther's
so
maids...
that was it on that. So
Con.
one of the things I like to do on this day, right, is to fast on this day, right? Because going into our history, like it just showed you, a lot of times where our people was going through trials and tribulations, we would fast as a nation and we would cry unto the Lord, right? So one of the things, that I like to do ever since I came in the truth, for so-called Thanksgiving, I like to do a fast on this day, right? Going into, the rape, rob, and murder of our ancestors, right? So on this day, right, hey, I encourage all Israel, right, to fast on this day, right? If you can, right, to do a fast as a nation, right, and pray unto the Lord and ask Him to deliver us from this destruction, right? Because, like I said, this is a day where they glorify the destruction of our people, right? The rape, rob, and murder of our people, right? Right. So, like I said, hey, we encourage all the brothers and sisters, if you in this truth, man, to fast on this day, right? If you can, right? So while all the rest of our people turning up and they getting drunk and they eating all these abominable foods, and we gonna be fasting on this day, right? Right? We gonna be mourning and we gonna be weeping on this day, right? Right? A day where they glorify the destruction of our people, right? But hey, that was it on that. If anybody else had something else they wanted to bring out, y'all can bring it out. But if not, we can close up.
Hey, real quick, I ain't gonna be too long. Now that was good. Real good, and it was really good edification. And also when it comes to what the brother was saying, if you are identified as an Israelite, you identify as being someone the truth, right? Regardless if you're in the camp or if you're not in the camp, if you're looking for a camp, but you still this word resonates with you. We highly encourage brothers and sisters, if you're able to partake in a fast, right? And really, for mourning, right? Put on this morning as we commemorate, our Gadite brothers and sisters for a day like what's going to take place tomorrow. Real quick, we got any readers available, Zeph or Kazak?
Khan.
Kazak, give me Deuteronomy 30, right? And one of the things that I want to kind of touch on is, the things that we go through, these curses, right? And a lot of times, we look at these curses, and of course these curses, who's getting that? Because Zeph, can you give me that Deuteronomy 28 and verse 46, right? Because a lot of times people say, oh, you black Hebrew Israelites, prove to me that you're an Israelite. Prove to me where your lineage goes back to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Hey, listen, what people don't understand is no one can trace any lineage back to that far back, right? No one can, right? This is all spiritual, individually, but colloquially, it is talking about this Hispanic, blacks, and Native American on this side, right, on the Western Hemisphere, right? And one of the things that we need is these curses, so to speak. These curses are there's a flip side to that. There's a silver lining, so to speak, to these things that we just went through with these videos. Again, as a brother in this truth, these things really hurt my heart, to see what our people, our ancestors, and it wasn't that long ago, right? 300-400 years ago is when a lot of these things took place. And even to this day, you still see a lot of the atrocities that has taken place on our people. So give me that in Deuteronomy 28:46 real quick, King.
Deuteronomy 28:46.
Mm-hmm.
And they shall be upon thee for a sign and for a wonder, and upon thy seed forever.
So let's just stop right there. Something like that, right? These curses of Deuteronomy, from verse 15 down to 68, is going to be a sign, not just on our forefathers, but on their seed forever, right? As long as our people have a hatred towards each other, as long as our men no longer want to take care of their families, as long as our women want to go against their husbands, as long as our children want to be disobedient, as long as our nation decides they want to worship other gods and break the laws of God and break the commandments of God, as long as we're doing that, these curses are going to be on our seed forever. And if we don't fix it, it's going to be on our seed moving into the next millennia, right? It's up to us, right? It's up to us to really fix the wrongs that our forefathers have done, right? They wrote a check and we got to cash it, right? and let me just, Zeph, while you're there, jump down to verse 50, King.
Verse 50.
Mm-hmm.
A nation of fierce countenance, which shall not regard the person of the old,
Mm-hmm.
nor shew favor to the young.
Right. So you think about the Trail of Tears, right? You think about all these atrocities that the Native American went through, right? Where they were, and I believe I was talking to my Reb earlier today about Squanto and how Squanto was a runaway slave that showed the so-called white man how to survive the winter, how to plant crops. And just like we went through in Sirach 12, never trust thine enemy. Had the Gadite just let the so-called white man survive, or Salakia, if they didn't show the white man how to survive that first winter, we wouldn't have had this problem, right? They wouldn't have been able to survive. But because they leaned on the influence and they leaned on the Native American to survive that first winter, then they were able to learn and adapt. And then ultimately they came back and slaughtered the Native Americans, slaughtered the Gadites, and beat them into submission. And of course, gave our people alcoholism, or alcohol as a god, and white Jesus, right? And it's to this day, the same things are going, right? So it says, a nation of fierce countenance, right, which shall not regard the person of the old, nor show favor to the young. A lot of those old men, old women had to walk from certain parts of the eastern to that, from the eastern side of the United States, all the way through to the Trail of Tears, right? People died on that way there. Young kids starved to death, died, was going through torture, going through hell, which we call hell, right? Verse 51, King.
Verse 51.
Mm-hmm.
And he shall eat the fruit of thy cattle,
Mm-hmm.
and the fruit of thy land.
So think about corn, think about tobacco, think about cotton, think about all these crops that our people had to not only pick, cultivate, maintain, right? But it's not even the white man's crops. Read it again.
And he shall eat the fruit of thy cattle.
Think about the buffalo, right? What was that? Think about the buffalo, right? The actual what is another word for that? Is it a bison? Think about the right, how they initially wiped out and caused all the bison to go extinct. Think about this, right? The fruit of our cattle, right? He shall eat the fruit of thy cattle. When you destroy, like I've seen articles, documentaries about how the so-called white man would just kill the bison and kill the cattle just to kill off to starve the Native American to death. They tried every which way to kill our people, whether it was spiritually, physically, collectively, when it comes to religion, right? When it comes to culture, right? We became we're not born alcoholics, right? The so-called white man, just like how they gave the black man crack, they gave the Native American man alcohol. You see what I'm saying? And killed your food. And then of course you had to adjust. And the next thing you know, you're serving a white Jesus, believing in a false doctrine called Christianity. And every Sunday through Monday, you're drinking yourself halfway to death, right? Read on, Ak.
And the fruit of thy land,
Mm-hmm.
until thou be destroyed.
Read on.
Which also shall not leave thee either corn.
Think about the main ingredient that when you was growing up, right? I know when I was growing up, Thanksgiving was centered around not only turkey, cranberry sauce, and stuffing, but it was corn, right? Native American, the Gadite is known for how they cultivated corn, right? Come on.
Wine,
mm-hmm.
or oil, or the increase of thy kind,
mm-hmm.
or flocks of the sheep, until he have destroyed thee.
Until he have destroyed thee, right? This is how we know that what we're talking about is not only just for the so-called Negro, and the so-called Latino or Hispanic, but also for the Native American, right? Because give me that in Deuteronomy 30, right? Because people want to ask, how y'all know y'all Israelites? And I just want to bring this out real quick. And Zeph, can you get that in John 14 and verse 20? So like, yeah, John 14 and 26, I believe.
You ready for that, Deuteronomy, King?
Con, go ahead and bring that out.
Con, is it from the top, 30 from the top?
First one, Con.
It's the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 30 from the top. And it shall come to pass, when all these things are come upon thee, the blessing and the curse.
So we're talking about blessing that we're talking about, Deuteronomy 28, 1 through 14. And what else? The curse from 15 down to verse 68. Come on.
Which I have set before thee.
Mm-hmm.
And thou shalt call them to mind among all the nations, whither the Lord thy God hath driven thee.
So one of the reasons why we teach Deuteronomy 20, why we teach Leviticus 26, the curses, right? The blessings, the curses, because like we read earlier, they were going to be a sign on our people, right? We always talk about what do we say? What street you know you're at? Well, it's a street sign that tells you the location, right? This is how we understand who the Israelites are today, because spiritually, when these curses come out, they're supposed to call to mind the things that you've experienced, that I've experienced. And then you're supposed to be able to then pinpoint, yo, this is talking about us, because no one else can make these claims. No one else can say, oh yeah, we came into slavery on slave ships. No one else can say, yeah, somebody came and wiped out the cattle, and these curses are going to be on our seed forever. The other nations can maybe make a claim, 4 years in history, 10 years in history. We've had these curses from the time we broke the commandments up until 2023, right? And the Most High said we were going to call to mind these things in the lands that we were scattered to, in the nations we were scattered to. Get verse 2, King.
Deuteronomy 30 and verse 2.
Uh-huh.
And shalt return unto the Lord thy God.
Stop right there. How many times have we heard these curses and then say, you know what, this is about us, and then we fell into the truth? That's what it means to return to the Lord our God, to come back into the truth, to have the faith in Christ, right? To keep the commandments and endure unto the end. The 3 components you need for salvation. And we were going to be able to call these things to mind, right? Read it again, verse 2.
Verse 2, and shalt return unto the Lord thy God, and shalt obey his voice according to all that I command thee this day.
And that's the law, right? When it says shall obey his voice, right, according to all that I command thee this day, what did the Most High's words, and what did he ordain to Israel? To put away shellfish, put away crab, put away pork, put the blunt down, stop whoring out your women, stop murdering your brother, stop being evil towards our own people. That's how you return to the Most High, by keeping the commandments, and then going out and teaching our people the exact same thing, right? Read on. Hey, shalom to the brother Yahawah Shem Yahshua 144. Shalom, read on,
and shalt obey his voice according to all that I command thee this day, thou and thy children, with all thine heart and with all thy soul.
Read verse 3.
That then the Lord thy God will turn thy captivity and have compassion upon thee, and will return and gather thee from all the nations whither the Lord thy God hath scattered thee.
So let's think about the timeline of right? We're going into a third woe. We're going into a situation where the whole world is about to go to war, and at the same time, the Israelites are waking up all over the world. You got brothers in the UK, you got brothers in the Jamaicas, you got brothers in South America and Mexico, North America. I mean, this place is, I mean, the whole world is on fire with Israelites waking up, and it's because of the curses. These Pico massacres, when we talk to these Native Americans and we start showing them the Pico massacre, you start showing them some of these treaties that was being broken. Beautiful job by our brother Yahawah going into this treaties that was broken and then lining it up with scriptures in Sirach 12, right? Going in and lining it up with other precepts all through the Bible, right? And then there's no coincidence as the world understands that the true Israelites are so-called Black, Latino, and Native Americans. As these things are coming to fruition, oh Lord, and we're going to actually get our captivity reversed, and we're going to be on top. It's syncing perfectly with the timeline of events. What's going on in Israel and Palestine? What's going on with Russia and Ukraine, Taiwan and China? That's next year. China and Taiwan is literally going to pop off next year. So if we think about 2022 was who? Ukraine and Russia. 2023 was who? Iran, Saudi Arabia is getting into this thing. You got Libya, but ultimately it's popped off between Israel and Palestine or Hamas, right? And then going into 2024, I guarantee we're gonna see China and Taiwan, and that's gonna be the tipping scale on the third woe. So as all these things are starting to mix together, spiritually, the Israelites are waking up right on time. All right. So it says, so think about these curses, right? It says, and shall return, verse 2 says, and shall return to the voice of the Lord thy God, and shall obey his voice according to all that I command thee this day, thou and thy children with all thy heart and with all thy soul, that then the Lord thy God will turn thy captivity and have compassion upon thee, and will return and gather thee from all nations, right? We're going to be gathered from all nations. The Most High is going to gather us from all nations. We're not gathering each other, right? When it comes to salvation, we can gather ourselves together for unity camps, feast days. That's not the same thing, right? The Most High is going to gather us from all nations, right? And he's going to flip this captivity. Get that in John 14. I won't be long, right? I just want to get this in John 14 because I definitely want to showcase how the Holy Spirit, right? And this is spiritual. And then Shalak, give me that in Romans 8 and 16, right? So let's get that John 14:26 real quick.
John 14:26.
John.
But the Comforter, which is the Holy Ghost.
So the Holy Ghost or the Holy Spirit, right? The Comforter, right? Come on.
Whom the Father will send in my name,
mm-hmm.
He shall teach you all things,
mm-hmm.
and bring all things to your remembrance.
To our what?
To our remembrance.
So understand this. When we start to go and remember these cotton fields being picked, the sugar canes being picked, right? You go to Haiti, you go to certain parts of Cuba, you start talking about sugar canes, start talking about tobacco fields, you start talking about all types of products, or what do you call it? Natural resources, and how, you know, our forefathers, our foremothers had to work in these fields. These things are being brought to our remembrance. It's almost like a spirit is waking up in you that's making you understand and identify with these curses. This is how we understand the Israelites today. The man over there in the land that's claiming to be Yahawah, right? They can't even trace their lineage back to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. All they can do is give you a few Yiddish words, right? And wave the flag in your face, and then they can claim your own nationality, right? But that doesn't make one an Israelite. Knowing the language, as a matter of fact, not knowing the language is more conducive to you being an Israelite, because you're supposed to be stripped from your heritage. That's why we say these things are going to be brought to our remembrance. It's going to, Yahawah was saying the Holy Spirit was going to make these curses of Deuteronomy. The Holy Spirit is going to make the curses in Leviticus 26 pop out. And then you're supposed to be like, okay, that makes sense. It wasn't until I read the curses of Deuteronomy, just for me, when I started going through them curses of Deuteronomy and was like, yep, that's me. Yep, that's me too. Yep, that's me. Or nope, I know a brother like that. I know that brother too. Yep. When you start understanding that and you start looking at it, these things are being brought to your remembrance. So Yahawah said the Comforter was going to help bring these things to your remembrance. Finish that out.
Whatsoever I have said unto you.
You see that? So whatever Yahawah said, right? When Yahawah said, man should not live by every by bread alone, but by every word that comes out of the mouth of God. That goes to me, right? And to the brothers on this panel, that shows that the laws, statutes, and commandments must be adhered to. Right? When you start going through them curses of Deuteronomy, right? When you start going into how important this thing is spiritually and how you have to have faith that you even qualify for this salvation, now that puts everything in perspective. You're relying solely on faith. Brothers really can't identify individually that they go back to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Not a lot of brothers. You may get a brother here and there, but what we teach is that collectively, right, we have artifacts that shows that the Israelites were in the Americas before Columbus, right? Linguistics show the same thing. Map making and topography says the same thing, that the Israelites were in the Americas before 1492, right? Thriving, having a culture, doing the things that was necessary, right? That's why these histories and artifacts are so important when you go into a second Esdras, and that's coming here into Arshraf, and how that's important. The lost lunar stones, right? The Moabite stones, all these different things that's history, recorded history, and how people just sideswipe that and they just say, well, show me you Israel, show me, show me, show me. This is the plight of the black man today. The curses aren't enough. Now they want you to prove you individually are an Israelite. Give me that in Romans 8:16, Shalak.
Hey, Salaki, can I bring out a precept real quick?
I'll bring it out, King.
It's Baruch chapter 2 and 30. It said, for I knew that they would not hear me, because it is a stiff-necked people, but in the land of their captivities they shall remember themselves.
You see that?
And shall know that I am the Lord their God, for I will give them an heart and ears to hear, and they shall praise me in the land of their captivity, and think upon my name, and return from their stiff neck and from their wicked deeds, for they shall remember the way of their fathers, which sinned before the Lord.
Come. Matter of fact, read verse 29, King. I mean, that was beautiful, but let's get the
29, it says, if you will not hear my voice, surely this very great multitude shall be turned into a small number among the nations.
Stop right there. What does it mean to be a small number among the nations? It's not talking about a quantity it's a quality, right? Small number among the next. We make up the majority. If you look at the Israelites in the Americas, you take the North American Indian, the Seminole Indian, right? You got Puerto Rican brothers, you got Negro African Americans, you got Mexicans. Mexicans alone is the majority, at least in California. It's talking about when you talk about quantity, but let's look at quality, right? What nation is the last hired, first fired? We are. What nation goes into the prison systems, right, at a high number and is the least represented when it comes to like we said, the UN? When you go to these United Nations, who represents the Negro in America when they sit at them seats? Who represents the Hispanic, right? Why are Hispanics over at the borders in cages for the last 5 years? Why are Native Americans on these reservations drinking their life away? Women, young Native American women being snatched. People don't talk about that at enough, right? Young Native American girls being kidnapped, never seen from again. Young men, right? What about the Keystone Pipeline that was literally just no one gave an F about it, right? And they were going to build over that. It says you were a small number among the nations. There's no representation of our people. Read on out.
Con. It says, surely this very great multitude shall be turned into a small number among the nations where I will scatter them.
And read verse 30 again. The key right here. This is why we teach every Wednesday, every Friday, every Saturday. Right here. Read this.
Verse 30. For I knew that they would not hear me.
Let's stop right there. The problem is our people will not hear God. We started off this whole lesson tonight about what? Our people being stiff-necked, hard-headed, right? We out here on the streets teaching our people, and they just walk by scoffing, right? You got brothers that are coming to your comments section scoffing, right? But they're not teaching how to properly serve God. That's not the motive of their that's not their objection on a Wednesday night. They want to mess up and muck up your presentation that you work hard for. They don't work for this. Brothers rather be on Call of Duty. Brothers would rather be 4 or 5 hours playing Madden, shooting jump shots, right? Working on their lyrics, working on anything but how to properly serve God. So what their job is to do, and this is for a lot of our brothers that want to teach, is these scoffers will come and their job is to muck it up so the word don't come out, right? It says, for I knew that they would not hear me. Well, they don't hear our people. They don't hear the Most High because they have that strong delusion that the Most High put on our people. It's hard to teach our people. Israel hard to teach. It's hard to teach Israel, right? Read on.
Con. For I knew that they would not hear me, because it is a stiff-necked people.
Mm-hmm.
But in the land of their captivities, they shall remember themselves.
And why? Because the Holy Spirit is going to teach you all things. We just read that in John 14:26. Right? You just don't, you've been in church, as long as you've been living, right? And you've read the Bible. You've never had an epiphany until you started to really go into the curses of Deuteronomy. Who is this talking about? Well, it's talking about us, right? And when these things are revealed and brothers can teach this thing in patience, then it becomes something that's tangible to the so-called Negro man, the so-called Latino man, the so-called Native American man can now look at this thing and say, oh, you know what? Something is about this. It's something spiritual. I think every brother can say that, right? Every sister can say that. They came in the truth and they read the curses, and the blessings are cool, but we haven't really experienced the blessings as a nation. We've only experienced the curses. That's why the curses were going to be a sign and a wonder. You don't see the sign and the wonder when it comes to the blessings. You see that sign and the wonder when it comes to the curses, because that's the thing that sticks out the most. All right. And we were going to hear these things in our captivity, right? And shall know that I am the Most High, their power, for I will give them a heart and ears to hear. The Most High, look at that. The Most High was going to give us ears to hear and a heart, but it was at the Most High's time. You can read Deuteronomy 28 till the cows come home. To some people, they're not going to get it because the Most High didn't give them eyes to see and ears to hear. It's only for a select few. That's why he said many are called, but few are chosen. Because the Most High opened up your eyes and your ears for you to come and get this information. That's why you got to give the Most High thanks every day you wake up, because he could take it from you like that. You got the juice. You gotta keep running with that, right? You'll wake up one day, Most High forbid, you'll wake up one day and you back in the world celebrating Thanksgiving, trying to get another blunt and trying to figure out how to be an adulterer again, try to go back to that old person, right? It says, and they shall praise me in the land of their captivity. And what are we doing now? How do you praise the Most High? By keeping the feast days, keeping the high holy days, keeping the Sabbath days, going out there and teaching the word of God, and putting your life on the line. That's how you praise the Most High. Teaching your families, making sure your wife is secure in this doctrine, right? Because she's going to get tempted too. Your children going to get tempted when they go to school and everybody's celebrating Christmas. Everybody's celebrating Thanksgiving. Just live a little bit in this truth. You're going to see that there's temptation all over. But you're going to praise the Lord and praise the Most High in the land of your captivity by being obedient and being faithful, right? And think upon my name and return from their stiff neck and from their wicked deeds, for they shall remember the way of their fathers, which sinned before the Lord, right? We're going to remember what got us into the Pico massacre in the first place. What got us in the Spanish-American Wars, right? What got us in the transatlantic slave trade? How did we end up here? Well, we became disobedient children, right? It's my last part right here. Shalak, give me that in Romans 8:16. Matter of fact, give me Romans 8:14, and we're gonna read through 17.
Con. This is the book of Romans, chapter 8, verse 14. For as many as are led by the Spirit of God, they are the sons of God.
So
For
everything we
ye
just the Spirit is going to bear witness. The Comforter was going to teach us these things, right? Read it again.
For as many as are led by the Spirit of God, they are the sons of God.
So if you are led by the Spirit, then these curses resonate with you, right? We don't, again, an Israelite, it doesn't have a certain color, phenotype, or skin texture, or accent, or the way he walks. He don't walk like an Israelite. That is not how you identify Israelites. Matter of fact, Ephraim, give me that in Nehemiah. Give me that in Nehemiah 7 and verse number 5. What makes an Israelite, right? How do you identify an Israelite? Is it by how you look? Is it by your hair? Is it by your accent? These are all false equivalencies on Israelites. And we're gonna come right back to that John 8. Give me that Nehemiah 8 and 7 and 5.
The book of Nehemiah, chapter 7 and verse 5. And my God put into mine heart to gather together the nobles and the rulers and the people, that they might be reckoned by genealogy.
By what?
By genealogy.
And the key word, the root word is gene, right? So your genes, right? You're reckoned by genealogy. Read on.
And I found a register of the genealogy of them which came up at the first, and found written therein.
You see that? Now jumped over to 61, same chapter.
Verse 61. And these were they which went up also from Tel Melech, Tel Harisha, Cherub, Adon, and Immer, but they could not show their father's house.
They could not show what?
Their father's house.
Come on.
Nor their seed, whether they were of Israel.
So what makes an Israelite is the fathers and your father's father's seed, right? If you go back by your father's side, we go Numbers 1 and 18, Ezra 2 and 56. You can go throughout the scriptures. The chronological order, or the chronicle of Yahawah, right? Who you would call Jesus Christ. Matthew 1, it gives you male names. This man begot this man. This man begot this man, right? It's all by the seed of your fathers. That's what makes an Israelite, right? So it's not about anything other than that. So let's go right back to Romans 8, verse 14.
Con. For as many as are led by the Spirit of God, they are the sons of God.
So again, if you led by the Spirit, that Spirit that gave you the manifestation, oh, this applies to me, right? Come on.
For ye have not received the spirit of bondage again to fear, but ye have received the spirit of adoption, whereby we cry.
The adoption pertain to Romans 9, right? The Israelite. Come on.
Whereby we cry, Abba, Father.
Verse 16.
The Spirit itself beareth witness with our spirit that we are the children of God.
See that? The Spirit bear witness with our spirit that we are the children of God. Right? That's really the clarity on that. It's not about how much Hebrew you know. It's good to know Hebrew, right? You have people that ask us, we were on Glenwood, and you had some weirdos asking me and Captain Yashuv if we were circumcised. Circumcision doesn't make you an Israelite. Israelites are required to get circumcised, yeah. But a lot of Israelites, even during the Maccabees, didn't circumcise. They couldn't circumcise their children.
Hey, Salakia, only a weirdo would want to know if you circumcised or not.
Yeah, I mean that's borderline. That's gay as hell, right? Asking brothers if they were circumcised, and then show me, prove it to me. You know what I'm saying? Like, who does that?
That's that spirit of Edom.
That's that sodomite spirit, right? Brothers want to go to that. They're not asking you about paperwork. Look, we just read in Nehemiah where they didn't use circumcision to determine if you was an Israelite or not. They used paperwork and your father's lineage. Only a weirdo would want to see circumcision as opposed to any other means. What about the spirit? Listen, if you're an Israelite, a lot of times we'll be talking to people and they don't have melanated skin, but you talk to them and you be like, yo, that might be an Israelite. Because the spirit bear witness with our spirit. So it don't matter if someone is circumcised. It don't matter if someone can speak the Hebrew. It don't matter how many times they've been to Israel. You talk to Amalek. Amalek will ask you how many times you've been to Israel. That make you an Israelite. The spirit bear witness if you were Israelite or not. Right? It be times we be talking to so-called black dudes, talking to them. That might be Ham. Yo, that might be a Spaniard. You see what I'm saying? She might not be Israel. You see how we talk? We talk to people and we gauge by the spirit. It's almost like a take one to know one spirit, right? Real recognize real. So when we get these contentious spirits, you almost got to look and say either you 2/3 or you might not be Israel. Read verse 17. We're going to close it out.
Verse 17.
Mm-hmm.
And if children, then heirs.
So if
heirs
you are,
of God.
Right? Exodus 4:22 said, the Most High said, Israel is my firstborn. Right? So if we are God's chosen, then we are heirs. Come on.
Heirs of God and
Mm-hmm.
joint heirs with Christ.
Mm-hmm.
So be that we suffer with him, that we may be also glorified together.
So we got to suffer as well. They're going to come at you and say, you not Israel. They're going to come at you and make you suffer and try you and tempt you, right, to do all types of things. And what you going to do? You got to suffer as Christ, right? That's why Paul said, I wish that I were accursed from Christ for my brethren, right? My kinsmen according to the flesh, right? We're going to suffer with Christ, and then we're going to get that glory with Christ together. If you can endure this truth into the end. All right. With that, that's it. That's all I want to put on that. All praises. I'm gonna go ahead and go on mute.
Hey, all praises, man. That was mighty teaching from the captain, man. Hey, Lord willing, man, all the people that was tuning in, and Lord willing, y'all was taking notes. We brought out a lot of good information. We went into a lot of history, and we brought out a lot of precepts tonight, man. So, hey, we finna close it out. Again, we want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahawah by Shem Yahweh Shai. Hey, shalom to all the brothers and sisters that was tuning in tonight to Yahawah's Camp Wars on Wednesday. Again, I'm Brother Yahshua by Yahawah.
Hey, Taki, this is Captain Raham. Hey, who is this brother in the chat?
Hey, don't worry about that clown.
Do y'all know?
Unless y'all want to, this is the dude that was in the comments that Yahshua was going back and forth with. He a clown.
Yeah, hey, tell him we'll send him a link tomorrow.
If he wants to come back tomorrow or Friday or whatever, But like,
yeah,
you know,
tell him we'll send a link to him tomorrow night. If you want to hop on, we'll deal with
you
him
want to hop
tomorrow
on,
night.
absolutely, because you know I
What's
told him in the comments. I said be here at 9 o'clock. Right.
what's his contention?
His contention is the same. It's the same contention as all of them. You know, oh, y'all not Israel. Y'all not Israel. You know, salvation for everybody. You know, the same old, same old.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll deal with that tomorrow. We'll deal with that madness tomorrow.
His name is False Prophet. I mean,
right. Yeah.
That he named himself.
Hey, I wouldn't be surprised if that's Emery trying to come back up.
Man name is False Prophet.
Man.
All right, yeah, I'll handle that, man. Yeah.
Hey, Shalom Israel, this is your brother Mahar. A pleasure as always.
Hey, Shalom Israel, this your brother Kazak.
Hey, Shalom Israel, this Shalak.
Shalom Israel, this your brother Zephaniah.
All right, so with that, we're gonna give a Kwame Ashala to the nation of Israel and Shalom.
Kwame Ashala.